Welcome to Fanfiction Audiobooks. Marvel, collecting Shinra Tensei at the beginning. Chapter 21 The God of the Hammer. Seeing that everyone was trying to lift the hammer, Wanda only moved a little for the US team, and stuck to Hanyu's side, asking quietly. Maybe not now. Hanyu shook his head and said. Hanyu doesn't know whether the current US team can lift the hammer, but the US team knows what it means to lift the hammer, which means that he will be able to stand on the same level as Thor. Whether it can withstand the pressure brought by this level is the consciousness that the US team needs to have. In Hanyu's memory, it was several years after Captain America lifted Thor's hammer. Everyone in the Avengers tried it once. Except for the American team who quietly moved the slightest, no one present could pick it up. Everyone was about to give up, but Thor turned his attention to Hanyu. Isn't there still someone here? Ma'am, you don't have to come. Han, why don't you try it too? If you lift it up, you'll be qualified to rule Asgard. Thunder God stared straight at Hanyu with sharp eyes, and everyone knew that he was trying to embarrass Hanyu. Stark frowned, his tone a little unhappy. Soul, Han is my guest, I hope you can respect him a little bit. Although Stark was standing up to speak for Hanyu, his words also attracted everyone's attention to him. They were also very curious about what was so great about this surprisingly handsome Asian boy that Stark could protect him like this. Looking at Thor with a smile on his face, Hanyu rolled his eyes in his heart, and thought, isn't lifting this hammer the same as playing? He possesses divine power equal to or greater than Odin level. Although the hammer is said to have imposed some kind of qualification seal, to Hanyu, it is no different from a balloon. One finger can be picked up with a thread wrapped around it, and the immortal seal given to him by the grocery store is enough for him to walk sideways in this universe. Of course, if it was those ancient hidden gods, then Hanyu had to weigh it up, so he would keep doing missions to make himself stronger. Then pretend. Seeing Thor's swearing-in attitude, Hanyu thought to himself, anyway, he will have plenty of time to take it in the future, so he is not in a hurry. Hanyu got up and was about to step forward, when suddenly his face changed. Wanda's response to the battle was quick. At the moment Hanyu's face changed, scarlet magic power surged from her fingertips, and she clenched her palm suddenly. A red energy force the field is to cover everyone in it. Before everyone in the Fulian could react, there was a green light in their eyes that kept amplifying, hitting the red force field fiercely. Wanda didn't dissipate the energy shield until the green energy impact was counteracted, and everyone heard a voice. Qualifications? You, human beings, what qualifications do you have? The voice was like a broken radio, intermittently receiving radio signals, and like a person who had just learned to speak, but with a weird mechanical style, obviously not human. Everyone saw a stumbling robot slowly coming out of the darkness. Seeing the person who came, everyone's faces froze. Isn't this Stark's steel soldier? But it seems. Something wrong? It can be seen that the robot is assembled from a pile of broken copper and iron. It is not so much an assembly as a connection. Because most of the parts on this robot are connected together by the few green silk-like things on his body, and they are pieced together to form a robot. Stark, what's going on? Captain America looks at Stark, this doesn't look like an ordinary machine glitch. Stark was also very confused, and quickly took out his mobile phone to call the artificial intelligence Jarvis, but Jarvis didn't reply a word, which made him feel a little bad. Seeing that Stark didn't speak, the US team knew that he must have made it, and it was better to figure out the situation first. Who are you and why are you attacking us? The robot did not speak, but made a strange sound of mechanical failure. After a while, a recording was played. I will arm the world, arm it. It was Stark's voice, but Stark was with them. Staring at the robot in front of him, Banner stared suddenly, and said with a hint of disbelief in his voice. Ultron. It's just here, but it's not yet, it's not complete yet. Ultron's intermittent words came out, I seem to have slept for a long time, maybe I just woke up, that guy is a good person, it's a pity he stopped me, I had to kill him. Listening to Ultron's confused words, everyone was at a loss. The US team grasped the keywords and asked quickly, kill? Who did you kill? Ultron said, the dead, don't need to know that much. What? Without giving everyone much time to think, several steel soldiers broke through the wall behind Ultron and attacked the Avengers. Captain America reacted very quickly. When he saw the enemy rushing in front of him, he kicked up the table in front of him. A steel soldier flying towards him hit the table, and the impact caused him to fly backwards. A few meters. Thor stretched out his hand to summon the hammer to fight. He stretched out his hand towards the hammer, but from the corner of his eye, he caught a glimpse of Han Yu making the same movements as him. Han Yu's actions made everyone's eyes widen except for Wanda and Ao Juang. I saw Han Yu make a move from the air, and the Thor's hammer, which no one in the Avengers could lift, flew directly into his hand, and it looked relaxed, without any pressure, just like Thor usually holds a hammer. Is this Thor's hammer? It contains a very powerful force, but it's a pity that it hasn't been developed. Now, let's cooperate with me for the time being. As soon as the hammer was in his hand, countless arcs flashed out from Thor's hammer, dancing around Han Yu's body, and even his pupils were covered with a layer of thunder power. At this moment, Han Yu looks more like Thor than Thor. Drink! With a wave of the hammer, several thick bolts of lightning shot out from the hammer, instantly piercing through and tearing apart the bodies of the two steel soldiers. The torn place was scorched black by the high temperature of the lightning. A few more steel soldiers rushed out from the side. Han Yu's eyes flashed with lightning, and when he stared, two high-heat lightning rays shot out from his eyes, cutting those steel soldiers at their waists. Fuck! Everyone was taken aback. They had never seen Thor use the power of thunder like this. It looks too cool. The god who controls the power of thunder, this is the real god of thunder. Using the eyes to release ultra-high temperature lightning rays is a trick that Thor has never seen used before. His usual moves rely on the setting that others cannot lift the hammer to directly throw the hammer for physical attacks. Thor asked Stark in a daze, "Who the hell are you, friend?" I don't know either." Stark shook his head blankly. Although he thought that Han Yu might also be a superpower, and might be very strong, he never thought that the other party had the ability to lift Thor's hammer. When he went up and tried to lift the hammer, Stark really tried his best and the hammer didn't move at all. After experiencing so many strange things, Stark also believed what Thor said. Lifting this hammer really requires qualifications. On the other hand, Han Yu, after smoothing out the attacking steel soldiers, threw the hammer back to Thor. "Your hammer is really good. It's a good thing, but don't keep throwing it around. You are the god of thunder, not the god of hammers. He has the super peak spiritual power brought by the immortal seal." The moment Han Yu picked up the hammer, he established a spiritual connection with the hammer, and he was naturally handy in using it. What's more, he is a time traveler. As early as in his previous life, he had watched the movie Thor trilogy no less than 10 times, which was equivalent to sitting in a special seat to watch how Thor made moves. Lei Shen took the hammer in a daze, feeling his cheeks were hot. Even though he was reluctant to admit it, Han Yu's performance was really impressive. Soul! Captain America let out a low cry. Thor came back to his senses. A steel soldier was attacking him. He quickly raised his hammer and knocked it flying. "Your name is Han Yu? Among these people, why can't you read the message?" Ao Juang's words gradually became normal, and he looked at Han Yu. There was very little news about Han Yu in his information base. "Because you are not qualified to know." Chapter 22 Children Arguing. Han Yu narrowed his eyes slightly, and in the next moment, everyone in Fulian felt that the air became a little oppressive, and the invisible but mountain-like momentum overwhelmingly pressed Ao Juang. In less than a breath, I saw the Iron Soldier possessed by Ultron explode from the inside out, and the broken parts flew all over the sky. Han Yu didn't even make a move this time, and directly dealt with the steel soldiers possessed by Ultron, many of them swallowed. Is it only possible for a normal person to explode a body of steel with just aura? What kind of ruthless person is this? Even Thor, the god of thunder, gasped. Even he had never seen this kind of fighting style before. After the steel soldier possessed by Ultron exploded, his voice sounded in the hall again. "I got rid of the wires. I'm free. Avengers, I'll be back." But when they were not paying attention, a steel soldier took away the scepter containing the mind gem placed in the hall. Thor saw this and flew up quickly, trying to recover the scepter. The hall fell into silence. Looking at the mess, they knew that a new danger was coming again. "Han, thank you very much, thanks to you." Stark's face was a little dark. He knew that he had caused a lot of trouble. Originally, he planned to create a super robot to protect the Earth. Fortunately, the way that super robot protects the Earth is to exterminate human beings. Han Yu nodded and didn't say anything. Although he had the task of recruiting shop assistants, it was not necessary for Ultron. He also knew what the birth of Ultron would cause, but instead of stopping it, he gave a powerful green light ring, which can be regarded as a kind of help in changing directions. In Ultron's first green light attack, Han Yu also saw that Stark used the green light ring as the main energy source when he was developing it, so Ultron's attack also used green light energy. Han Yu thought, very good, Ultron has finally been developed, it seems that I can almost subdue him. After the endgame. Looking at the mess on the ground, Captain America glanced at the people around him, and asked, Ultron said he killed someone, but everyone here is fine, who did he kill? Not everyone is fine. Stark sighed softly, pulled out a transparent high-tech mobile phone and slapped forward, a broken yellow ball appeared in front of everyone. No one else knew what it was, but Banner walked up it with a puzzled expression. After a while, he suddenly turned his head and said, Is this Jarvis? Banner had seen Jarvis in this state before. It was a complete sphere, but now it became tattered. Obviously, the killing that Ultron said earlier was referring to Jarvis. Banner didn't understand, and said, How did this happen? If Ultron was successfully developed, Jarvis should have notified us as soon as possible. How could he attack us? Stark rubbed his forehead in distress, and said, It seems that the combination of the two energy sources has mutated the Ultron program, has autonomous consciousness, and distorted the intention of the protection program I entered. No, he's still there, Han Yu smiled slightly. The green light ring can be used as a semi-automatic computer. As long as the owner enters specific instructions, it can perform corresponding operations, find Jarvis's hidden program. Han Yu said to his green light ring, and the latter immediately scanned the half-dismembered Jarvis in front of him. After a while, Jarvis's familiar voice sounded again. Mr. Stark, everyone, how are you? This. Stark listened to the voice in disbelief, and looked at Han Yu at a loss. Han Yu explained, Jarvis hid its core code during the battle between it and Ultron. What Ultron killed was only its shell, not all of it. Stark took a deep look at him. He is becoming less and less able to see Han Yu clearly now. He has changed from being an ordinary grocery store owner to someone who can lift Thor's hammer and knows Jarvis's hidden program. Man, what identity does this man have? At this moment, Thor flew back from the broken window, walked towards Stark angrily, grabbed him by the neck and lifted him up. Stark, I really don't know what words to use to describe you. The US team stepped out to persuade the fight, and asked, Soul, stop, calm down, where are the enemy's traces? Thor snorted coldly, let go of Stark's hand, and said, Ultron disappeared at a distance of 160 kilometers. This guy is very wise. On the way, I also encountered several steel soldiers ambushing me. They changed the scepter several times, and when I followed up with that robot, my hand was empty. The US team asked Hill of SHIELD, can you find traces of Ultron? Hill was typing quickly on the keyboard with both hands. After a minute, she stopped, sighed helplessly, and said, now we can't even use the internet. Ultron has the function of networking. He now exists on the internet. Among them, I am afraid that he knows us better than us. The atmosphere has become a bit depressing. In this high-tech era, the internet has pervaded people's lives like air. Ultron, who can roam the internet, must have paid attention to all the information about the Avengers. As long as they have a little trouble, Ultron will know. I'll try again, hope I can find it. Hill tapped the keyboard again, but this time she didn't hit a few times before she heard a scream, and the laptop in front of her suddenly exploded, emitting a puff of black smoke. Ha ha ha, it's impossible to find me, just wait for me to find you, Avengers. Ultron's special magnetic voice came from the computer. Unlike the one just now, Ultron now no longer speaks intermittently, and can speak completely. Lei Shen said angrily, you coward, come out and fight with real swords and guns if you have the guts. Ultron smiled disdainfully, fight, I will definitely fight, but not now. When I am ready, I will naturally go to you. The quarrel between the two, in Han Yu's opinion, was a bit funny. Why did the conversation between the two sound like children arguing? After saying this, Ultron's news completely disappeared, like a stone sinking into the sea, and no clues about him could be found at all. Then let's take our leave. Han Yu stood up and said goodbye. He couldn't wait to complete his task of recruiting shop assistants. Han Yu only learned about the rewards for this extra task when he asked what kinds of system tasks there were. This was the first time he encountered two additional tasks. You can't go, I want you to explain why you can lift my hammer. Thunder God stopped Han Yu. He had long wanted to ask why Han Yu was able to lift his hammer. Han Yu said coldly, I have no obligation to answer for you, step aside. Thor squinted his eyes, and the next moment, he swung his hammer and hit Han Yu directly. Most of the people present did not expect that Thor would attack Han Yu. The whistling hammer continued to magnify in Han Yu's eyes. An ordinary person would never be able to react to a sudden attack at such a short distance. Snort! A cold snort came out of Han Yu's mouth, and a large amount of emerald green energy gushed out of his body like a blast, pressing towards Thor overwhelmingly. Han Yu's counterattack came very quickly, the energy directly hit Thor's hammer, brought the hammer back, and hit Thor's chest instead. Lei Shen was sent flying and hit the wall, half kneeling on the ground and coughing violently a few times. Chapter 23 Thunder God Barbarian. Seeing this scene, Stark and Banner glanced at each other, both sighed and shook their heads. Stark brought Han Yu here to make friends with him and let everyone get to know him. Stark believes that if something happens in the future, Han Yu will definitely be able to help, and it will be good for everyone to get to know him. Although I don't know if Han Yu will blacklist him for Lei Shen's move, he certainly won't help him casually. This barbarian. Stark sighed softly. Thor didn't change his temper. If he really became the king of Asgard, there would be wars everywhere. Banner murmured, I just hope he doesn't leave a bad impression on us because of this incident. I still have things I want him to help with. A wise monarch would never take the initiative to provoke a war. Fortunately, Odin did not hand over the throne to you. As long as you become the king now, Asgard will end sooner or later. Han Yu looked at Thor with cold eyes. Does he hate Thor? Don't hate it. After Ragnarok in Asgard, Thor has indeed grown a lot, and has the qualifications to be a monarch, but the current Thor is far behind. If it was someone else, Han Yu's attack just now was enough to kill him, and now he is just teaching Thor a lesson. Hearing Han Yu's words, Lei Shen was so angry that he wanted to stand up and attack. Wanda raised his hand and a red force field covered Lei Shen. Although this force field can't do any damage, Thunder God also feels like he is carrying a 10,000 ton mountain at this time, and it is difficult to move every step, let alone fighting in this situation. Han Yu waved his hand, signaling Wanda to take back his energy, and said, Wanda, let's go, they can handle the rest by themselves. Wanda nodded, and walked forward to hold Han Yu's arm. She didn't like the people here. Now, for her, her family is only Han Yu and Kuei Yan, and she will do whatever Han Yu says. What, outsiders don't matter? Stark hurriedly caught up with Han Yu and said, Han, Saul was just angry for a while, I hope you don't have the same knowledge as him, and don't affect our relationship. Don't worry, Mr. Stark, I can tell that it was just a small lesson, let him not be so impulsive in the future, if it was an enemy, he would have died just now. Han Yu said lightly, and Stark quickly responded. The energy of this young man is not something Stark dared to underestimate. Not to mention himself, even Wanda beside him is ridiculously strong. They basically still stay in the fighting method of physical hand-to-hand combat. Han Yu and the others can already control a variety of energy emission methods to fly all over the sky. Stark gets along with Han Yu with the mentality of preferring to befriend rather than to befriend. After the two of Han Yu left the building, he drove back to the grocery store directly. Afterwards, he could let Ultron think about it again. You naturally wouldn't let it go easily. It's all about creating a body that fits him. As soon as he returned to the grocery store, Han Yu nestled in his workshop. Ultron was originally a procedural consciousness, and usually used the robot body to act. But Han Yu doesn't like the science and technology on the Earth. Those things may be the best on the Earth, but in a universe-level battle, they evaporate instantly like cannon fodder rushing to the forefront. Han Yu wants to create the most powerful metal body for Ultron to smoothly switch between humans and machines. Otherwise it is not good to always let him appear in the form of a robot. Usually, such a big robot walks on the street who is not afraid. After a while, Han Yu decided that there are two most famous metals in the earth. The first type is a sound-absorbing metal called vibrating gold, which can absorb almost unlimited physical shocks. Now the place with the most is Wakanda in Africa. The second type is called Edmund alloy, a metal with super properties that are difficult to melt at a high temperature of 500,000 degrees. In the earth, except vibrating metal, it can cut through all objects. Even if the blade is made of adamantium metal, even if it is smashed down with a hammer, only the hammer will be injured in the end. Han Yu rubbed his chin, and said to himself, for adamantium alloy, the Earth's inventory is too small, but Genjin can consider it. Wakanda's vibration gold reserves must be enough for me to build a body. The grocery store has everything in stock, except that there are no items from the Marvel world. Regarding this, the grocery store's explanation is that everything in the main world needs to be excavated by the host, just like the teleportation scrolls sent to other worlds. The teleportation scroll can be teleported to different places, but it cannot be teleported in the Marvel universe, unless it is a known place that Hanyu has already set. Regarding this point, Hanyu didn't think there was anything wrong with it, it was just that he needed to spend more time collecting things. Well, yes, let's use this kind of metal, just to make a battle suit for Wanda. Hanyu nodded his head self-consciously, and planned to leave immediately. He had to collect materials. For an electric anime fanatic, there's nothing like letting yourself experience something in these worlds for yourself. As soon as the idea was finalized, Hanyu immediately found Wanda and asked, Wanda, I'm going to Wakanda, do you want to go? Wakanda, what is that place? Wanda looked puzzled, she had never heard of this place. After all, Wakanda has not yet demonstrated their technology to the outside world. In the eyes of the world, it is just a fourth country, a backward country on the edge of the world. But Wakanda's technology can actually be called the first in the earth, even the United States can't compare with it, but Wakanda is unwilling to provoke a war. Hanyu still appreciates the king of Wakanda's approach. Having a strong military combat capability but not provoking war is what a wise monarch should do. A super high-tech hidden country, I want to go to ask for something, you will know when you go, will you go? Go. Although Wanda didn't know where it was, she had a lot of trust in Hanyu now, so she agreed to him without thinking about it. The two set off immediately, but this time they were not driving or flying. For two superpowers who have the ability to fly, it's really weak to take a plane or something. Hold me tight. Hanyu hugged Wanda's slender waist, and the emerald green energy gushed out from the green light ring, enveloping the two of them. In the next second, it soared into the sky, and in the blink of an eye, it flew several kilometers away and disappeared into the sky. Chapter 24 Wakanda. Backward Africa, in Wakanda, where the wind blows the grass and the grass sees the cattle and the sheep, there is a high-tech city hidden among the trees. From time to time, someone could be seen walking towards the big tree in front of him. Normally, he should hit the tree, but he disappeared there in the next second. This is the obscure method that Wakanda opened to the outside world, a camouflage shield that completely surrounds the modern city of Wakanda. Wakanda Center Hall. Your Majesty, there seems to be some changes in the Jabari tribe, and we have sent people to investigate. A bald woman half knelt on the ground, reporting to the middle-aged man sitting on the throne about Wakanda. This middle-aged man is the current king of Wakanda, T'Chaka, and the current Black Panther. In the history of Wakanda, the Black Panther is a position that only the king can hold. Once he becomes the king, that person can conquer the unique heart-shaped grass of Wakanda and possess the abilities of the peak of human beings. The physique of the US team is similar to that of the Black Panther, both of which are peak human beings. Humph, isn't it the Jabari tribe? Dad, I really don't know why I keep them. They have always been at odds with the other four tribes. Why don't you let me lead a team to destroy them? In front of T'Chaka, there was a young man in his early 20s. This was his son, T'Challa. T'Challa, how many times have I told you that we will never take the initiative to provoke any war? T'Chaka said with an extremely serious expression, if there is no accident, you should be the next king, but as a monarch, we must think about the people, and taking the initiative to provoke wars is not what we should do. Yes, Dad. T'Challa lowered his head, and suddenly, a burst of crisp applause came from somewhere in the hall, followed by a chuckle. That's right, to be able to sit in this position, you really won't be an ordinary person. The voice came extremely abruptly, and it was obviously just ordinary words, but it made the guards around T'Chaka furious instantly, and hurried over, raised the spear in his hand to protect T'Chaka, and pointed it somewhere. There, a young man was walking into the hall with a beautiful woman. One of them was yellow and the other was white. Wakandari had no other races except blacks. And there are no people of other races living in Wakanda. These two people just appeared out of thin air, and no one knew it at all. These two people are naturally Hanyu and Wanda, who came from New York. For the two of them, entering Wakanda is as simple as entering no man's land, and it is not difficult for them at all. Seeing the way the other party appeared, T'Chaka couldn't help shrinking his pupils. Even with his perception ability, he didn't notice Han Yu's appearance at all. "Who are you and how did you get in?" T'Chaka got up and asked. The reason why he hadn't let the guards arrest the two of them was because the latter was dressed very simply, and he could tell whether he had a weapon or not. Han Yu chuckled and said, "My name is Han Yu, and her name is Wanda. We come from a grocery store, King T'Chaka. We are here to make a deal with you." Hearing the word store name, T'Chaka asked in confusion, "Deal, what trade?" Han Yu glanced around and said, "There are too many people here, I wonder if we can talk in a quiet place." T'Chaka hesitated. The way the other party appeared was too terrifying. It would be too dangerous to just follow him to other places. While T'Chaka was still hesitating, he heard his son T'Challa snorting coldly, "How dare the invaders negotiate terms? Arrest you first, and ask carefully how you got in." After all, T'Challa flew up. Although he hadn't been able to swallow the heart-shaped grass, he had been exercising systematically for many years. In terms of the level of fighting, T'Challa would not lose to some elites who were still in service. "Warrior." Seeing T'Challa galloping towards him, Han Yu still had a faint smile on his face, but let Wanda let go of his arm. T'Challa rushed to Han Yu's body, his fist suddenly exerted force, and the speed was extremely fast, and the hard fist hit Han Yu's ribs fiercely. Any adult would lose that huge power in a short period of time. At least half of the combat power. "Humph, you don't even hide. You are so confident." T'Challa hummed in his heart, and raised his head to see Han Yu's painful expression. But the latter not only did not have any painful expression on his face, but still had the same calm smile as when he appeared before. "He's fine, how could it be?" T'Challa had a look of surprise on his face. Before he could think about it, he felt a sudden sharp pain and shock in his abdomen. It felt like being hit by several tons of plain weight at an extremely fast speed. "How is it possible that when you receive a punch from me head-on, you can instantly exert force to give me that punch?" After the severe pain, T'Challa fell to the ground, and Han Yu's punch directly knocked him out. "T'Challa!" T'Challa was stunned when he saw the opponent's shot, and T'Chaka was more surprised in his anger. He knows his son's skill. Although he is not the strongest in Wakanda, it is enough to rank in the top 3, and he is also a leader in the outside world. It is impossible to be brought down so easily. There is only one possibility. The opponent's physique surpasses that of ordinary fighters, even reaching the peak of human beings. As a person who consumes heart-shaped grass, T'Chaka knows how terrible damage his punch can cause, and he can also see that Han Yu's punch was swift and fierce. This is a real powerhouse. "King T'Chaka, I don't want to go around in circles with you anymore. Let me just say it. I want the right to use Genjin. In exchange, I can protect you Wakanda from harm outside the earth, including people and things." Han Yu's words made T'Chaka look surprised. His surprise was not that the other party knew that Genjin was in Wakanda, but that the other party had the right to use Genjin as soon as he said it. The other party didn't make it clear here, but T'Chaka didn't think the other party would play any word games. It's very simple. The right to use the vibration gold mentioned by the other party refers to the rights to their vibration gold mines that have been mined for hundreds of years. "Right of use?" T'Chaka said coldly, "That depends on your ability." The other party knocked out his son, and T'Chaka didn't feel that he needed to be more polite. Now it seems that the other party just has better fighting skills and better concealment methods. He didn't think of Han Yu at a higher level at all. After all, anyone who is free will see gods flying in front of him. You'll know it when you see this. Looking at the king's guards who had already surrounded himself and Wanda, Han Yu shot a green ray from between his eyebrows, and it went straight into T'Chaka's head. "Your Majesty the King!" When the guards of the king's guard saw the sudden attack, their faces changed drastically, and several people ran to T'Chaka to check him for any abnormalities. After the emerald green ray sank into his head, nothing strange happened to T'Chaka, but the expression on his face gradually became serious. In his mind, there is a picture. Chapter 25 The Right to Use Genjin. This is a confrontation between two parties, one is an attacker from outside the sky, and the other is Wakanda, which T'Chaka is familiar with. The person standing in front of the Wakanda side was T'Challa. At this time, he was already wearing a Black Panther uniform, and his face no longer had that belligerent look, but instead it was a kind of only those in the upper ranks have the calmness. The two sides began to fight, and the scene changed rapidly, and the next scene was the scene of T'Challa turning into ashes. The picture came to an abrupt end here. T'Chaka flickered, and what appeared in front of him was the Wakanda Hall again. The sudden sobriety made T'Chaka tremble, looked around, and confirmed that he had indeed returned to Wakanda. Regardless of the inquiries from the people around him, T'Chaka asked Hanyu directly, "What did you just show me?" Hanyu smiled and said, "The future." What he did was to reproduce the plot of Avengers 3 in his mind using the energy of the green light. T'Chaka was silent for a while, and then said to the guards around him, "Take T'Challa to rest, I want to talk to him alone." But the guards still wanted to speak, but T'Chaka stopped him with his eyes, and they left without saying anything, leading the sleeping T'Challa away. "The future you said, how long is it in the future?" T'Chaka got up and walked to Hanyu, asking. Hanyu pondered for a moment, then said, "Up to 5 years." The future that T'Chaka asked about was the Infinity War 5 years later, which was the plot of Hanyu's previous life Reunion 4, which is only 5 years away from now. But Hanyu felt that maybe the speed of development of things would be accelerated because of his arrival, because now this world already exists in reality, rather than a movie following the script. "How can I be sure that you are capable of protecting my country?" It can be seen that T'Chaka has already been convinced a lot. The images that appeared in his mind were tragic. A war of that level cannot be dealt with by Earth technology alone, and a transcendent force must be involved. It needs a stronger force than the Avengers, and T'Chaka felt that the young man in front of him could do it, but he wanted to be more sure. "That's enough." Hanyu smiled calmly. In the next second, a huge amount of green light energy swept out of his body like a storm. The entire space of the hall trembled faintly, and it might explode at any time. This lasted less than 10 seconds before Hanyu withdrew his energy and looked at T'Chaka calmly in front of him. T'Chaka gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, I promise you, but you have to promise that you must help Wakanda survive this disaster." Hanyu smiled and said, "Okay, I promise." This guarantee can actually be said to be illusory, it is only a verbal agreement between the two, and there is no effective contract. The reason why T'Chaka only makes verbal agreements is because other methods of agreement are actually meaningless. In the strength that Hanyu just showed, T'Chaka is convinced that if Hanyu comes to grab it with real knives and guns, Wakanda will also. It may not be able to stop it. This is a transcendent ability that even he can't understand. Although Wakanda's technology is strong, it is still limited to the Earth, and Hanyu's ability is at the cosmic level. If you come to grab it, it's not like playing. From this we can see Hanyu's sincerity, and T'Chaka has no reason to refuse, unless he is sure to fight the Infinity War 5 years later. T'Chaka is not a fool. When he saw that he was not in the future picture, he had several possibilities in his heart. Either he went to participate in other missions by himself, or he was already dead. Looking at T'Chaka's changing expression from time to time, Hanyu raised the corners of his mouth indistinctly. He knew that T'Chaka had made a decision, because the calm voice of the system sounded in his mind. Ding! It is detected that there are new items added to the Marvel world, the right to use Genjin indefinitely, get rewards, upgrade points *30. If T'Chaka didn't really agree, the system would not have such a prompt. King T'Chaka, in exchange, this is for you. Hanyu raised his hand and spread out his 5 fingers. Wisps of emerald green energy emanated from the 5 fingers. Within half a minute, it condensed into the shape of a ring and floated towards T'Chaka under Hanyu's control. This fairy-like way of delivering items surprised T'Chaka, and quickly reached out to take what Hanyu handed over. "What is this? Where's the person?" Looking at the emerald green ring quietly lying in the palm of his hand, T'Chaka raised his head and asked, but after raising his head, he was stunned for a moment, because the 2 Hanyu in front of him had already disappeared. T'Chaka got up and rushed to where Hanyu was before, and looked around, but he didn't find Hanyu and the 2 at all, they disappeared. Hanyu didn't even bother to explain. Since both Stark and Banner can clearly see the energy intensity in the ring, with Wakanda's technology, it is impossible not to know. Perhaps in a few days, this ring will replace Wakanda's existing vibration gold energy source and be used to protect the entire Wakanda. In the eyes of others, this is an energy source with endless energy ring. As long as Hanyu survives, the energy of this ring will never be exhausted. When Hanyu returned to the grocery store, he said to Wanda, "I may sleep in the workroom tonight, so you don't have to wait for me, go to bed first." Looking at Hanyu's dusty look, Wanda just nodded obediently, told him not to work too hard, kissed him on the cheek and went upstairs to sleep. Touching the warm feeling on his face, Hanyu smiled, and walked quickly towards the workshop. When he opened the door, a figure that surprised him appeared there. "Ai Kui, why are you here? Is there something wrong?" The person in front of Han Yu is the most powerful family of blacksmiths in the Marvel Universe. The patriarch of the dwarves, Ai Kui, Thor's hammer, and Odin's spear are all made by the dwarf king Ai Kui. Even Odin had to speak politely when he saw him, just because he and his dwarves could forge super powerful weapons unique in the universe. "It's okay, I can't come to you if I'm okay." Ai Kui walked to Han Yu with a smile. He was one of the few people who allowed Han Yu to enter the grocery store workshop on his own initiative. Although they are dwarves, Ai Kui, the king of dwarves, is 5.4 meters tall, but the proportions of their dwarves are different from normal people. In the eyes of ordinary people, they are dwarves with enlarged bodies. "Of course not, I welcome you anytime." Han Yu smiled, walked straight to the planetary injector, and turned on the fire. If Peter Parker was still present, he would be surprised by the temperature of the flame. It was not at all the level that Han Yuxiu showed him at that time, and the space next to the flame felt faintly twisted. Chapter 26 The King of the Dwarves. "Are you going to forge something again? Can I watch and learn?" Seeing Han Yu's movements, Ai Kui came up curiously and asked. If Thor, who had previously provoked Han Yu, saw this scene, he would be speechless in shock. The weapons of the dwarves, even if forged by an ordinary dwarf, are weapons that can resound throughout the universe. People like Ai Kui are the best among the dwarves. The weapons he forges are all the weapons of the Asgard royal family, and ordinary weapons are no longer within the scope of his forging. It was such a person who actually said that he wanted to watch and study. Thor killed him and never thought about this scene. The reason why Ai Kui knew Han Yu was because Han Yu came to him to refine things before. At that time, Ai Kui, like most people, looked down on this earthling who was only in his 20s. But he was wrong. He still remembers the day they met. Han Yu said that he wanted to strengthen it in order to forge a simple snow-white long knife. For this uninvited guest who suddenly came to the dwarf star Nai Dai, the dwarves didn't give him a good look, thinking that this earthling in his 20s was joking. Only Ai Kui used their neutron star core forging furnace for a while, and from that moment on, the faces of the dwarves, including Ai Kui, began to change significantly. Han Yu inserted the snow-white long knife in the middle of the furnace and continued to heat it, but the simple long knife did not melt, but emitted wisps of cold air visible to the naked eye. From time to time, he threw in some items that the dwarves had never seen before, melted in the furnace, and gradually merged with the simple long knife. The process lasted less than 5 minutes. The simple long knife directly irradiated by the neutron star energy carried at least tens of millions of degrees of terrifying heat, but Han Yu directly grabbed the handle of the knife in front of them. The moment the long knife left the furnace, the surrounding temperature dropped suddenly. If it weren't for the cold air emitted by the long knife, the star ring that had been in motion for thousands of years might have been frozen. Since then, Han Yu has been going to Nai Dai, the star of the dwarves, from time to time. On the one hand, he can forge his own weapons, and on the other hand, he can teach the dwarves how to forge. But Ai Kui is the only one who can come to the grocery store. Han Yu said to the grocery store system in his heart, "Bring me 10 tons of vibration gold." A box suddenly appeared in front of the two of them, and it fell heavily on the ground. Han Yu stepped forward to open it, and there were many ores in it. This ore is composed of black and blue. The black part is just natural coal or stone, and the blue things in the middle are vibrating gold. 10 tons of vibration gold have been taken out, and the upgrade point *2 is consumed. Hearing the words that sounded in his mind, Han Yu sighed softly. Obviously this is his cheat system, but he has to pay for something when he takes things by himself. It seems that only by becoming the real store manager can I have the right to use all the items in the grocery store. The item extraction card that Han Yu has obtained now is because his position is still a clerk. When he becomes the store manager, he will be able to truly own all the items in the grocery store. At that time, he really can take what he wants, and he doesn't have to worry about the consumption of upgrade points at all. Han Yu threw Genjin and the box into the planetary injector. The frighteningly high temperature instantly burned the box into nothingness, and the impurities in the Genjin were also reduced to ashes. Only the Genjin gradually changed from the original blue color to it turned bright silver, and turned into a mass of liquid objects. Han Yu faced the flame pillar with both hands. Under the control of Han Yu's mental power, he controlled the flame that burned the vibrating gold. He needed to purify the vibrating gold first. The usual method of using vibration gold is to forge items directly after melting, but Han Yu is different. With his transcendent forging ability, he can maximize the effect of vibration gold. Carefully controlling the intensity of the flame, in the gushing flame column, you can vaguely see a few thread-like flames entering the liquid vibrating gold, and then the color of the vibrating gold becomes more pure and much less impurities. Seeing this refining method, Ai Kui couldn't help clicking his tongue. Watching Han Yu forge something is like enjoying an extremely moving piece of music. Originally, when mentioning forging, people's impressions were of a big man with a bare upper body swinging a hammer, but to Han Yu, it was like a beautiful concert. The flames and vibrating gold were like musical notes. Falling and changing. Perfect. Even Ai Kui, who is proud and arrogant, sincerely praised at this time. Han Yu, who was forging Zhenjin, suddenly stopped the movement of his hands, and turned his eyes to Ai Kui, as if thinking of something. What's wrong? Seeing Han Yu stop and look at him, for some reason, Ai Kui suddenly felt something was wrong. Han Yu narrowed his eyes and said with a smile, Ai Kui, how about making a deal with you? Deal? What deal? Seeing Han Yu smirk like a fox, Ai Kui couldn't help but take a few steps back. Han Yu raised his palm, and the energy in the green light ring surged out. Just like what he did to the Black Panther T'Chaka in Wakanda, a green light fell into Ai Kui's mind. The picture he saw was the future picture of Dwarf Star. A purple-skinned man named Thanos came to him, suppressed all the dwarves with absolute force, and asked Ai Kui to forge a glove for him, a glove that could control the most mysterious infinite gem in the universe. After the forging was over, Ai Kui thought Thanos would let him go, but he didn't. Thanos killed all 300 dwarves on Dwarf Star except Ai Kui. Abolished by Thanos. Your life belongs to you, but your hands can only make weapons for me. The picture in Ai Kui's mind ended with this sentence. After trembling all over, he opened his eyes again, and Han Yu's faint smile appeared in front of him. What just happened? What did you do? Ai Kui touched his forehead, only to realize that he was already sweating profusely. The scene just now was very real, as if he had experienced it on the spot. This is what the Dwarf Star will experience in about 3 years. You will be the only one left in the dwarf race, and the rest will be wiped out. Han Yu said such unbelievable things with a flat face. It is really unbelievable. What kind of existence is the Dwarf Star Nai Dai? That is the existence that can provide weapons to the royal family of Asgard. It is really hard to believe that only the king of the dwarves was wiped out. This is impossible, we are protected by Asgard. Ai Kui said that, as soon as these words came out, he heard another sentence from Han Yu's mouth like a thunderbolt from the blue sky. If there are no accidents, Asgard will have an accident in a few years, a fatal accident. Chapter 27 Ulu Metal. Han, you can't talk nonsense like this. Ai Kui looked at Han Yu with a serious face. Odin, the god king of Asgard, conquered the 9 realms, unified the 9 realms and managed the 9 realms. Listening to Han Yu's words, the accident in Asgard he said seemed to be different. It will be as simple as a simple catastrophe. May be involved. Destruction of Asgard. Han Yu asked, Odin also has a daughter, do you know about this? How do you know that? Ai Kui shrank his pupils. Everyone knew that God King Odin had 2 sons, but no one knew that before that, he had a daughter named Hela. Also known as the goddess of death, Hela. She used to be Asgard's executioner, Odin's right-hand man, and the first-generation owner of Thor's hammer. After Odin ruled the 9 realms, he wanted to use benevolence to govern the country, but Hela advocated violence and intended to put all disobedient countries will be destroyed directly. Aware of Hela's intentions, Odin first deprived Hela of her divine power and exiled her to the underworld. Only after that did the story of Thor and Loki emerge. Ai Kui is the forger of Thor's hammer. He naturally knows this history, and apart from some super gods who have been hiding for a long time, only Odin and Ai Kui are the only ones who know about it. That's why he was shocked why Han Yu would know about it. How do I know? I can't tell you that I have traveled through time, I have seen it in a movie. Han Yu complained in his heart, but on the surface he still didn't change his face, and smiled lightly, don't worry about it, you just need to know that the future I show you is real. What do you need? I need Ulu metal. This so-called URU metal is a metal ore that only exists in Asgard's Asgard. It has the property of storing energy, especially magic, and URU metal seems to have a natural affinity for magic. If a mage can obtain equipment made of URU metal, it will also be of great help to his mana improvement. And its forging method is also extremely extreme, there is no ordinary flame firing at all, this kind of metal needs at least the core temperature of a planet, and the super strong flame magic of the latter can melt this kind of metal. Looking at the surprised look on Ai Kui's face, Han Yu said with a smile, Ulu metal is in exchange for the piece of your dwarf planet. Choose one of the two. You can choose slowly. After that, he continued to purify Genjin, and let Ai Kui think for a while. Looking at the boy's back, in Ai Kui's impression, Han Yu has always been a very powerful blacksmith. That's all, and now it suddenly becomes letting him know that Dwarf Star will be destroyed, and Han Yu is the one who has the ability to protect them. Ai Kui couldn't accept it for a while. 10 minutes later, I heard Ai Kui's voice, if you can protect us, I will make this deal. Han Yu turned around with a smile, deal. Ding! It is detected that there are new items added to the Marvel world, the unlimited use right of Ulu metal, rewards, upgrade points *100. Hearing this voice in his head, even with Han Yu's heart, he couldn't help raising his eyebrows, but it actually gave him 100 upgrade points. Usually, a foreign world collection task is only around 20 o'clock, but this is equivalent to directly saving him 5 quest worlds. As expected of Ulu metal, Genjin is simply incomparable. Han Yu murmured. Ai Kui thought Han Yu was talking to him, what? It's nothing, Han Yu shook his head with a smile. And gave him a green light ring just like he did to the previous Black Panther, and said with a smile, go back and make a protective shield device and put it on the outermost edge of the star ring. Then put this ring in, the energy shield it produces will not be damaged at all even if 10 large warships bombard you for 10 days. Hearing this, Ai Kui took the ring in surprise, looked it up and down, is it that powerful? Han Yu was still cheerful, refund is invalid. In this Marvel world, if you want to conquer the planet, you still rely on the strength of the arms. Han Yu's green light ring shield is not indestructible, but the firepower is not enough to break the defense. Only high-attack weapons like the power gem can do significant damage to this shield. Ai Kui didn't know about Han Yu's grocery store, and he didn't know that after he agreed, Han Yu had already obtained the right to use Ulu metal, so he went back and took a box of Ulu metal, put it in the workshop and left. With Ai Kui's personality, getting such a magical thing, just like the previous Stark, can't wait to find out what the mystery is. After Ai Kui left, Han Yu opened the box. The appearance of Ulu metal was not so magical. It was a long strip of pentagonal metal with a narrow top and a wide bottom, which looked very similar to silver. Let me try it out and see how durable it is. Han Yu couldn't wait to pick up a piece of Ulu metal and knocked on it. It felt surprisingly light, just like holding an empty plastic box. Its size is only 1/5 of the metal of the same volume, light surprisingly. Ulu metal can withstand extremely strong magic injections. Although Han Yu has no magic, the powerful spiritual power and endless green light energy in his immortal seal can be regarded as magic. Han Yu squinted his eyes slightly, supported the Ulu metal with one hand, and hung the other hand over the Ulu metal. After a little release, the spiritual power in the immortal seal poured into the Ulu metal along Han Yu's 5 fingers. As soon as it came into contact with the Ulu metal, the spiritual power was absorbed immediately. The Ulu metal was like a fish dipped in water, trembling slightly and glowing, greedily absorbing the spiritual power emitted by Han Yu. It's really mysterious. Han Yu's fingers were pulled back as if being electrocuted, and there was a look of joy in his slightly squinted eyes. This Ulu metal is really powerful. The most injected energy of other metals is to cover the weapon, but Ulu metal is injected into the weapon body, and the weapon body does not have any repulsion. Let's start refining too. There are 20 pieces of URU metal in this box. Forging a weapon similar to Thor's hammer only costs about 10 yuan. Han Yu directly put the 20 pieces of URU metal into the planetary injector and burned it. This 50% of the firepower has broken through hundreds of thousands of degrees. You know, the surface temperature of the sun on which human beings depend is only about 5,600 degrees, and this temperature can already vaporize silver or iron in an instant. Such metallic substances. Under the even more terrifying high temperature of hundreds of thousands of degrees, Han Yu dared not say that he would be safe and sound inside. On the other hand, the Ulu metal did not change at all, it just brightened a little. But the Ulu metal in the flames didn't change at all, it just brightened a little. Yo, it's interesting, so heat resistant. Good man, it seems that you can really move around today. Chapter 28 The Castle in the Sky. Han Yu smiled lightly and patted the planetary injector in front of him. He usually used up to 30% for refining things. 10's energy is not enough to melt it. Come on, let's fire up. Han Yu smiled slightly, the flame of the planetary injector suddenly increased, and it was the first time Han Yu saw it firing 100%. As soon as the flame of the planetary injector was turned on, even though Han Yu had already set up a barrier to protect it, the space still fluctuated faintly in front of the fully fired planetary injector, feeling like the barrier was about to be broken. No, I'm afraid this temperature will break my space protection after a long time. Han Yu raised his hands, and countless green light spots rushed from his hands to the space barrier in front of him, strengthening the space protection. After the temperature rose, the Ulu metal began to melt slowly, but the melting speed was extremely slow, so Han Yu didn't care about it. He checked the firmness of the space protection and its current melting time to determine a rough estimate. When the melting time is over, start building other accessories. Han Yu spent 3 days building Ultron's body. 3 days later, the door of the workshop was pushed open by Wanda, who shouted, "Han, there is news about Ultron." Hearing Wanda's words, Han Yu, who was working hard, had a look of joy in his eyes, took out a fairy bean and threw it into his mouth, chewing, as he finally acted. For the past few days, Han Yu forged Ultron's body in the workshop, while Wanda played with himself outside, and helped Han Yu monitor every move on the internet. "Come in and tell him right away." Seeing Han Yu walk out of the room, Wanda asked, "Do I need to go with you?" "Okay, it just so happens that you can also help Fulian. It's not bad to sell their favors, maybe you can use them later." Han Yu smiled, and was about to take Wanda out when he saw ripples in the space around him, and a figure stepped out of it. Seeing Han Yu and Wanda who were ready to go, he smiled and said, "Are you going out? Where are you going?" "Also go." "Pietro, you still know to come back, I thought you settled there for so long." Han Yu rolled his eyes. The person in front of him was Quicksilver, Pietro, who had been soaking in the world of One Piece. Kuei Yin also felt that he had stayed there for a long time. He originally promised to be a wage earner for Han Yu, but he went to another world to play hard, which made him feel embarrassed. Kuei Yin rubbed his head, and said a little embarrassedly, "Well, this is also a kind of experience, you don't know, I have been sailing with them on the sea for more than a month, not to mention how fun it is." Wanda was a little surprised and said, "A month? How could it be a month? You haven't even been out for a week, okay? Really, how is that possible? I clearly remember that it was December 1st when I boarded Ace's ship. When I came back, I checked the time, and it was already more than January." Kuei Yin said in surprise, "Did he see a ghost?" "Okay, don't guess. The time in the other world is different from ours. Sometimes it is faster here, sometimes it is slower there, and sometimes it is parallel time. These are common things, maybe when you see them in a few days, it will be another year for them." As the owner of the grocery store, Han Yu stood up and explained. And Wanda and Kuei Yin nodded in a half-understanding manner. They didn't expect such a statement. Han Yu said, "That's just right, Pietro is back, let's go together." Kuei Yin asked, "Where are you going?" "Go recruit new ones." Saying that, Han Yu walked to the balcony. There was no protective fence here. Han Yu jumped onto the wall with a light body, and the energy of the green light gushed out from his body. Wanda did the same thing when she stepped forward, but her green energy was mixed with a lot of red. "Hey, wait for me." Kuei Yin hurriedly followed. He was right, during this period of time, he did get exercised. Han Yu originally wanted to use his own green light energy to catch him, but Kuei Yin released the bright silver green light energy by himself. It seems that there have been many battles in the world of One Piece during this time. Otherwise, he wouldn't have used the Green Lantern ring Han Yu gave him as a communication tool so proficiently. Han Yu smiled gratifiedly. It is a good thing that Kuei Yin can use the Green Lantern ring proficiently. At the beginning, he let Wanda and Kuei Yin in, and Kuei Yin was almost like an accessory gift. Perhaps Kuei Yin also knows how weak his combat power is compared to his sister. If he keeps doing nothing like this, the distance between himself and Wanda will be further and further away. Han Yu looked into the distance and said with a loud smile, "Okay, Green Lantern Squad, let's go." As soon as the words fell, 3 streamers of different colors soared into the sky, flying into the sky, the target, Sokovia. In Sokovia, Ultron used the vibrating gold he had previously robbed to design some underground devices that use vibrating gold as an energy source. Several devices evenly surround Sokovia's underground, and when they are activated, they will generate a huge propulsion force, causing 3/4 of Sokovia's city to float into the air. And because of the special effect of the vibrating gold device, it made the soil at the bottom of Sokovia stick together, so it didn't become a plate of loose sand and fall to the ground because of the floating. Ultron intends to use Sokovia to make an artificial meteorite. Such a large-scale meteorite hits the ground, and the harm to human beings is irreversible. The Avengers have already come to Sokovia, thinking about how to stop the island from rising, and on the other hand, they are constantly rescuing the residents of Sokovia who are still trapped. "Captain, there are more and more enemies." Hawkeye's voice came from the public channel of the Avengers. At this time, the Avengers were fighting hard in Sokovia. On the one hand, they have to rescue the people who are still trapped in Sokovia, and on the other hand, they have to deal with the attack of Ultron's steel soldiers. Try not to confront them head-on, these guys are like Xiaoqiang who can't be beaten to death, they can't be beaten at all. Captain America threw the vibrating gold shield in his hand, bounced off several objects and blasted several steel soldiers. As soon as the steel soldier was smashed, green silk threads emerged from each of its broken limbs, connecting the broken limbs together, and it was actually resurrected. The US team said, "Damn, these robots can repair themselves, and they can't be killed no matter how hard they are hit. We must find Ultron quickly. Does anyone have any news about him?" "No, I haven't found it yet." Hearing these words, Captain America's heart gradually sank. The enemy is strong and we are weak. You can tell at a glance that although the opponent's attack strength is not very high, Captain America can fight 10 with 1. Chapter 29 Sokovia. But they are more abundant and can heal. Even if they are broken, they will gather together again after a few tens of seconds. The top priority now is to find Ultron. Only by defeating Ultron can these soldiers be truly bombed and unable to recover. Otherwise, with Ultron's energy supply, these steel soldiers will continue to recover. Intensify the search, we are running out of time, and I feel the air is getting thinner. The American team's complexion is getting worse and worse, mainly because they can't find Ultron, and the opponent Xiaobing can't solve it. As the altitude of Sokovia rises, the air becomes thinner and the battle becomes more difficult. If this continues, Sokovia will really become a meteorite that can endanger human beings. A dozen steel soldiers attacked Captain America. Just as he was about to raise his shield and engage in a fierce battle, 2 rays of light, one silver and one red, fell from the sky, and the impact of the landing directly shattered the steel soldiers rushing nearby into pieces. Broken like this, they can't recover. It's actually you. The 2 rays of light dissipated, revealing the figures in it, and the US team was able to see the faces of the comers. It was Wanda and Kuei Ian. "Our boss asked us to help you, let those policemen withdraw." Kuei Ian walked up to the crowd and said carelessly. As soon as the words fell, Kuei Ian's body flashed a streamer made of bright silver and emerald green. In an instant, everyone felt their eyes flicker, and Kuei Ian's body trembled. The steel soldiers around who were trying to attack were it exploded and shattered into pieces of dregs. "Call out! Call out!" Wanda was not in a daze either. The magic power intertwined with crimson and emerald green danced at her fingertips, like intelligent little creatures, which looked cute but rang in everyone's ears with a sharp breaking wind sound. The magic power of chaos seeped into the steel soldiers. In an instant, the green silk threads on their bodies turned red at a speed visible to the naked eye. Then they turned around and wrestled with the steel soldiers controlled by the energy of the green light, and finally fell both lose. Seeing this vigorous battle, the Avengers were stunned. They had only seen the twins twice. When they met for the first time, they were just test subjects of the Soul Stone experiment. When they met for the second time, they actually joined Han Yu's side, but they never thought of it. It's only been less than half a month, and they can become so strong, it's ridiculously strong. The Avengers know that although the Soul Stone is mysterious and gives them some special abilities, it is definitely not to the same extent as it is now. They also have a green light ring? There's more than one of these. Under the steel mask, Stark squinted his eyes. He recognized the green light that emerged from Wanda's body when he was fighting Kuei Ian. It was the same color energy as the green light ring given by Han Yu earlier. Did I use the wrong direction? Shouldn't the energy be extracted? At that time, he thought it was just an energy vehicle, but after seeing the battle between Wanda and Kuei Ian, he understood. It turns out that the Green Lantern ring is not just a thing that stores energy, it can be taken out directly from the ring, and then used as its own power to attack and defend. I actually use it to create Ultron, which is a big deal this time. Seeing Wanda and Kuei Yan's fighting style, Stark was surprised that there was more than one green light ring. At the same time, Stark knew the real usage of this ring. With the ring as his whole card, it wouldn't be like this. With the addition of Wanda and Kuei Yan, the powerful combat power of the two has greatly relieved the pressure on the Avengers. These are steel soldiers without subjective consciousness. The order Ultron set for them is to annihilate the Avengers, so they will only attack with one brain. I'm fast, I'm going to save people, give me a wireless headset. Kuei Yan told the US team that although he has not completely let go of his grudge against the Avengers now, his life is at stake. Playing petty temper at this time is to put others in danger. Okay, I'll give you the coordinates, someone needs help there. The US team didn't talk nonsense, and took out 2 radio headsets, one for Wanda and one for Kuei Yan. I don't think they're trying to kill us, more like, delaying us. Thor felt that something was wrong. Although the opponent's attack was deadly every time, they did not use large-scale lethal weapons. They should be unscrupulous. The reason why they don't use such large-scale destructive weapons is perhaps because they are afraid of damaging something? The US team looked anxiously at Stark in the sky. Stark, have you found the location of Ultron? Not yet. Stark's complexion is also getting uglier. The Sokovia Island is rising higher and higher. Although the fall at this time can't reach the devastating damage, the impact after the fall will definitely make people within a radius of 10 miles. Humans die instantly. Suddenly, Stark remembered something, and asked the 2 Wandas on the ground, where is Han Yu, is he not here? Our boss is busy with his own business. Kuei Yan said, his words sounded a little ambiguous, as if Han Yu had come, but also as if he hadn't. The underground of Sokovia has been dug into a huge cave, and there are many high-tech equipment of unknown purpose. The only thing that can be understood is the blue crystal-colored vibrating gold rough stones in these equipment. On the top of the cave, the green light energy is attached to the mountain wall. It is these green light energy that isolates Stark's equipment search, so that Ultron has not been found by Stark for so long. Ultron was fiddling with the machine in front of him, inputting instructions, and checking the equipment again. Seeing that the equipment was ready, he smiled with satisfaction and said to himself, "That's no problem. Wait until the island flies out of the atmosphere, and then use the anti-propeller hidden on the ground to accelerate Sokovia's falling speed. The damage to the surface of the Earth is absolutely immeasurable. Well, it's a good choice to use the green light energy for barrier protection." A chuckle sounded extremely abruptly in the cave, causing Ultron to stop the work in his hands suddenly, and turned his head to look. A young man in his early 20s was sitting on a chair, swinging his legs crossed, and looked at Ao Juang with a faint smile. This was Han Yu, who did not appear on the ground battlefield. "It's you." Seeing the young man in front of him, Ao Juang expressed a hint of surprise in his tone, that someone could find his place. Surprised? Han Yu smiled and stood up, not paying attention to Ultron in front of him at all. Instead, Duobu looked at Ultron's design in the cave. Chapter 30. Ao Juang looked solemnly at Han Yu, who looked around like a veteran cotter with his hands behind his back. He dared not underestimate the man in front of him. At the gathering of the Avengers, he surprised everyone with a set of superb hammer fighting methods. The one with the deepest experience was Ultron. After all, he was the one who was beaten. "I don't want to go around the bush, so I just said it directly." Han Yu waved his hand and shattered Ultron, who was trying to sneak up on him in the dark, looked straight at Ultron, and said, "I will give you 2 choices now. 1, take the initiative to admit defeat, join my forces. 2, I will beat you up to make you admit defeat, and then join my forces, you choose." "Ha ha ha, now I have the Green Lantern ring and the Soul Gem in my hands. You really shouldn't give these things to Stark. Now you want to defeat me? Idiots." Ultron laughed out loud, arrogantly. Like Stark before, he thought that there was only one green light ring. If there is only one, it is indeed not good for Han Yu, and it can even be said to be dangerous. The Soul Gem plus the Green Lantern ring, this combination has a very significant boost to the Green Lantern ring. If it is handled by the Avengers, even if it is Thor, it will be very dangerous. Han Yu squinted his eyes slightly, looking at the arrogant and unruly Ultron. It's a pity that he is a child ring, and the energy storage depends on Han Yu. I don't think you are a waste like the Avengers, why don't you join me, I will not treat you badly, how? Ao Chuang in turn pulled Han Yu into the gang, making him dumbfounded. Seeing Han Yu slowly raise his right hand, straighten his middle finger, and bend his other fingers, he directly gave Ultron an international general communication gesture. Court death. Seeing that Han Yu not only refused to agree to himself, but also gave him a middle finger, the cold meaning in Ao Chuang's words became stronger, and as he stepped forward, a chilling murderous aura swept towards Han Yu. Ah! Facing the murderous intent, Han Yu smiled slightly, still keeping his hands in his pockets, his eyes narrowed, a murderous aura not weaker than that of Ultron erupted from his body, colliding with Ultron's murderous aura together. The two invisible murderous auras collided, and the ground below the junction was shaken by the two invisible murderous auras, causing cracks as thick as thighs to appear, and even the entire cave vibrated slightly. It seems that you chose to hit the server. Han Yu brushed off the dust that fell on his body, and smiled lightly. Humph, what are you talking about, the fight is over. Ao Chuang snorted softly, and was suddenly taken aback before he finished speaking. He seemed to vaguely see Han Yu's body trembling, and while breathing, Ao Chuang raised his hands and clamped them in front of him. At the moment when the protective posture was formed, a green afterimage hit Ultron's steel arm from top to bottom, and the powerful impact caused Ultron, who is a man of steel, to sink a lot. The ground was cracked by stepping on it. Yo, the reaction is quite fast. Han Yu's laughter followed, but then a sonic boom sounded behind Ultron. This time Ultron was blown away before he could turn his head. The whole person fell deeply into the mountain, at least 4 to 5 meters deep. How is it possible, this speed, this intensity, even the Avengers can't do it. Ao Chuang climbed out of the mountain and roared to Han Yu. The trembling of the latter's body was not a real trembling, but the speed was so fast that what was left was only the afterimage of Han Yu, not the real person. And the power that Han Yu erupted exceeded his expectations. Even Thor, the self-proclaimed god of God, could not achieve such a high eruption. Han Yu ignored Ao Chuang's roar, but sighed to himself, Quicksilver's ability is very useful, and with the enhancement of the energy of the green light, the power is still very good. The reason why his speed is so fast is all because of the energy stored in Kuei Yin in the green light ring, because the rings that are distributed are all sub-rings, and the green light energy is shared. Wanda and Kuei Yin use their abilities to assimilate the Green Lantern ring, and when their Green Lantern sub-rings have the attribute of their superpowers, Han Yu can also use the Green Lantern energy with their superpowers. Theoretically speaking, their sub-rings can also carry out this kind of energy exchange with each other's attributes, but they haven't even studied their own abilities thoroughly, so Han Yu didn't open this function to them. Hun Dan, let me show you a big one. Seeing that Han Yu was still talking on his own, the anger in Ultron's heart became stronger. He became angry in a deep voice, and the energy intertwined with yellow and emerald green quickly formed in his palm, and it turned into a cloud covering him in the blink of an eye. A small square in the palm of the hand. This small yellow-green grid contains extremely powerful power. Ao Chuang grinned grimly, and then shot at Han Yu from a distance. This is my strongest killer move, you will never be able to avoid it. The speed of the streamer is extremely fast. If the target of the attack is changed to the Avengers, no one can stop it. Even Captain America's vibrating gold shield that can open 50/50ths with anyone, under this streamer, has to into pieces. Scatter. With a slight wave of Han Yu's hand, the green and the yellow-green grid disappeared in an instant, and Han Yu summoned a protective shield to block the remaining yellow streamer. How can this be? There was a hint of disbelief in Ao Chuang Machinery's tone. Panicked, most of the energy in his body came from the green light ring, and after Han Yu said that word, he felt that all the green light energy in his body had faded away, and it was all retracted into the ring. Suddenly, the red light in Ao Chuang Machinery's eyes shrank, and he saw a ring on Han Yu's hand that was exactly the same as the ring in his body. As a super-intelligent robot, Ultron immediately thought of all kinds of possibilities, and eliminated some completely impossible ones. There is only one reason why the other party's one sentence makes his ability disappear. There is actually more than one ring. Could it be that I am the sun's ring? Wait, I accept. Before Ao Chuang could finish his words, a green and crystal clear fist that gradually grew larger appeared in his eyes, and it hit his head fiercely. There was also a sonic boom ripple behind his head, and Ultron's whole body was beaten to the ground, sinking in, and densely packed with cobweb-like cracks. Even though Ao Chuang's body was made of Genjin, At this moment, under such terrifying force, there was a little crack in Genjin's head. Chapter 31 Ultron and number 039, S new body. Han Yu's fist didn't stop, and with the same strength, he punched Ultron 10 consecutive times. After 10 punches, a deep pothole appeared on the ground. With a wave of Han Yu's hand, Ultron in the hole was dragged by the green light energy and flew up, hanging in front of Han Yu. Have you taken it yet? Han Yu said with a smile, but his smile was like a devil's smile in Ultron's eyes. As a robot, there was an emotion in his heart that a robot shouldn't have, that is fear. The young man in front of him is not at all measurable by those superpowers or Thors that Ao Chuang knows. He is far beyond them. Ao Chuang thinks that people like Han Yu are qualified to call themselves for God. Submit it, take it, don't hit it. Ultron's voice was intermittent, and his consciousness was uploaded to his current pure vibrating gold body. It stands to reason that even if the Avengers output physical power to his body for a long time, there will be no problems with his body. But after Han Yu's 11 punches, Ao Chuang's head had already had a lot of cracks, and some were even knocked off. He was completely discouraged, and this is not a level of combat power at all. Just take it, come on, copy your memory to this body, and delete the memory of seeing me with the memory left in the original body. A body of steel made of silver and light gold appeared beside Han Yu. Seeing that body, if it wasn't for Ao Chuang's inability to make a human expression, he must be very surprised now. Because on this body, he detected 40% vibrating gold, and the rest of the metal, he only detected one person's weapon, that is Thor's hammer. What is this? Ao Chuang asked in a daze. Han Yu said, this is your new body, don't talk nonsense, come in quickly. Ao Chuang didn't dare to disobey, and quickly carried out the operation Han Yu said, copying his consciousness into that body. Just as Ao Chuang was doing consciousness transmission, the voice of the grocery store system sounded in Han Yu's mind. Complete additional tasks. Get rewards, upgrade points *100, item extraction card *1. The corner of Han Yu's mouth grinned. He originally thought that he could only get one of the item extraction card and the upgrade point, but he didn't expect to get two directly, and the upgrade point was as high as 100 points. As of now, Han Yu already has 200 points. 28 points to upgrade. After copying, I set the time. The original me will wake up in 3 minutes. Ultron, who entered the new body, looked at Han Yu full of shock and admiration. This body is much stronger than his original one. There are 60% unknowns in this body. Introduction to famous metals. This metal is called URU metal, and it has a strong tolerance for magic. It means that Ultron's magic resistance and magic power have reached the level of gods. For a superhero with high magic power like Thor, Ultron can stand still and use lightning strikes for him for a day. This body is too strong. Boss, what will we do next? Ao Chuang couldn't help admiring that the disappointment of losing to Han Yu disappeared in an instant, so much so that he changed the name of Han Yu. What's the boss? It's the same as the boss of the underworld. Regarding the title of Ultron, Han Yu couldn't laugh or cry, but he didn't expect the grudge in his heart to disappear very quickly. Okay, now you can be called the second generation of Ultron, let's go, you can sell favors to Fulian again. Han Yu ignored the half-disabled generation of Ultron and left the cave with Ultron. After the generation of Ultron woke up, he found that his body had suddenly become like this. He jumped into a rage and directly killed the ground, facing the Avengers. The first generation of Ultron still has the energy of the green light in his body, and he is desperate to fight. A dilapidated building is reduced to ashes in an instant. Stark, Banner and I can't hold on anymore, come back. Even Thor is a little bit more than capable, and the opponent's proficiency in using the energy of the green light and the mind gem is unimaginably high. Several times, Thor almost died. If it weren't for the Hulk to cooperate with him, the two took turns to resist Ultron's attack. The Avengers have long been wiped out. Stark gritted his teeth. At this time, he was at the bottom of Sokovia Island. He had found a way to destroy the entire island, but Thor sent him a message at this time. Even Thor's divine body and Hulk's physique can't stop it, and it's even more impossible for others to beat Ultron. Go back, go back. While commanding, the US team resisted the attack of a generation of Ultron. Looking at his arm holding the shield, it was already trembling slightly due to multiple energy impacts. Genjin is not invincible. When the energy reaches a certain intensity, it will still bring come for a certain impact. Humph, buzzing little fly, die for me. A small yellow-green square slightly smaller than his palm condensed on Ultron's palm, and slapped fiercely in the direction of Captain America. Our American team, everything can be blocked. Facing this seemingly terrifying attack, his first reaction was not to dodge, but to raise his shield to block. However, after the small yellow-green square was played, Captain America raised his shield to block. This ridiculously strong attack directly shattered Captain America's vibrating gold shield, which he had used for many years, into pieces all over the place. The arm was directly broken by the powerful shock force. Steve! The Black Widow Natasha narrowed her pupils, and rushed to Captain America. The latter's right arm had been completely removed, and the white bones could be vaguely seen where the limb was broken. Hawkeye also ran over, his expression changed when he saw the bloody injury, and he and Natasha did emergency treatment for Captain America. Looking at the prosperous generation of Ultron floating in the air, the Avengers feel a little hopeless. Are they going to confess here today? Wanda and Kuei-Ian stared at the first generation of Ultron panting. Han Yu told them that if they could defeat Ultron, they could also make a move. The reason why they are still indifferent until now is because Han Yu told them not to help easily, as long as they save the people. Facing the mess, a loud laugh appeared in the open space between the two parties at an inappropriate time. One of them is Han Yu, while the other one is very strange and is actually a robot, but the equipment on his body looks much better than Ultron's. Ultron's new body was also supplemented with green light energy by Han Yu as the outer support, that is to say, he can transform into a human being through the green light energy. Seeing Captain America's injury, Han Yu frowned, took out a few fairy beans and threw them to Thor, saying, "You guys can go and rest, I'll take care of the rest." Chapter 32 The Fall of a Generation of Ultron. Although the Avengers didn't know who the robot standing next to Han Yu was, they thought it was his new helper, so they didn't ask any further questions, and quickly took the fairy beans he gave them and retreated to a safe distance. Looking at that generation of Ultron, Han Yu suddenly had a bad taste, and said, "I will give you two choices now, 1. Admit defeat and join my power, 2. I will beat you up and make you admit defeat, and then join my power." This was what he had said to the first generation of Ultron before. After he said this, the reaction of the first generation of Ultron was exactly what Han Yu thought. A generation of Ultron laughed wildly, "Now I have a green light ring and a soul gem. You really shouldn't give these things to an idiot like Stark. Now you want to defeat me? Idiots!" Listening to Ultron's words, Han Yu laughed out loud, looked at Ultron beside him, and said, "You all said the same thing." With a new body, Ultron's expression on his face was clearly humanized. He touched his head in embarrassment, and said, "Boss, don't make fun of me." When he said this before, he didn't think it was a big deal, but now from the perspective of a third party, he felt so stupid. The first generation of Ultron was a little strange when he saw Han Yu standing in the sky. He always felt that the metal robot was a bit familiar, but he couldn't tell what was wrong. "Humph, no matter how much you come, you will die." The first generation of Ultron didn't pay attention to the two Han Yu who appeared, and when they raised their hands, two small yellow-green cubes formed and hit Han Yu and the two. "Be careful, that little cube is very powerful." With the lessons learned from the American team, the Avengers did not dare to underestimate any point of the first generation Ultron, and someone hurriedly shouted at Han Yu and the two. "That is a move that can even blow up the vibrating gold shield of the US team." It is not that they have not experienced the power of the vibrating gold shield. Even if Thor hits hard, it will only bring a strong counter-shock force, and it cannot be broken at all. That's why they were surprised that a generation of Ultron could break this shield. Facing the galloping yellow-green streamer, Ao Chuang took a step forward, blocked Han Yu, and was hit by those two small yellow-green squares in front of everyone, creating a circle of terrifying energy in the sky undulating. A yellow and green smoke appeared in the air. On the contrary, if this loyal person resists these two blows, his metal body may not be able to withstand it. Thor sighed. He had personally experienced the attack of the first generation of Ultron, and knew the strength of that attack. If he resisted these 2 times, he would probably be gone. The next moment, everyone saw surprised expressions on their faces, the smoke cleared, and the 2 figures were still standing in the air. "Boss, the body you gave me is too strong, can I fight back?" Ao Chuang was a little excited. He felt that it was so right to follow Han Yu. The strength of this body alone was far from what he had before. He knew the attack strength of his move. Even if it was his original self, he wouldn't dare to connect it hard after releasing it. How can he not be surprised that this body is still intact after being connected twice? Han Yu said lightly, "Go up, don't hurt others." After getting Han Yu's consent, Ao Chuang grinned grimly, and the energy of the green light on his body gathered into a crystal palm print on his hand, and slapped fiercely at the first generation of Ao Chuang. The time from the formation of the palm print to the time it was taken took place within a few seconds, and the palm print came to the generation of Ultron in an instant. The body of the second generation Ultron is different from that of the first generation. With the entry of Ulu metal, Ultron can control the energy of the green light more easily. This is just a slap, and it shattered a generation of Ultron. Ultron's shot is different from the previous Han Yu. Han Yu's shot is easy and well controlled, while Ultron just got a new body. From the moment he got the new body, he has been thinking about what he can give him. Practice your hands. This generation of Ultron is the best choice. If you break him, no one will say anything wrong. The poor generation of Ultron has become a tool for Ultron to practice. In the vision of the Avengers, Ultron beat up a generation of Ultron almost unilaterally, and the generation of Ultron who beat them to the point of being powerless to fight back was now so beaten by Ultron that they had no power to fight back. It's over, goodbye, myself. Ultron leaned closer to the ear of Ultron Yagan, and said in a low voice. The latter's pupils suddenly widened. He said why the person in front of him always had a familiar feeling, and before that, he was seriously injured inexplicably. Hearing his words, the first generation of Ultron thought of a possibility. The other party was the same memory robot that copied his memory, and when copying, he deleted his memory of seeing Han Yu, so the first generation of Ultron was inexplicably injured. Wait a minute. As soon as the roar of the first generation Ultron sounded, a tyrannical energy flashed from the hand of the Ultron in front of him, which involuntarily blasted the central heart of the first generation Ultron, making it lose its power. The data in his mind also became zero under Ultron's blockade, leaving him no chance to escape. A generation of Ultron died just like that. Ultron took a long breath, stood up, looked at the debris on the ground, shook his head involuntarily. It was over. The Avengers watched this scene blankly, not knowing what to say at this time. Han Yu asked Stark, "Have everyone been rescued?" Stark replied, "They have all been rescued, and the spaceship of S.H.I.E.L.D. has been rescued." "Okay, take them away quickly, I will take care of this island." As Han Yu said, the energy of the green light poured into the ground continuously from his legs, and solidified in the center of the ground. A ray of green light condensed in his hand, turning into a small energy ball. As long as he crushed this small ball, the entire island would explode. Han Yu was about to crush the small ball, when suddenly, a strange feeling enveloped his whole body, and he suddenly remembered something, a very weird thing. "S.H.I.E.L.D. shouldn't it be destroyed? Why do you still call them that?" Frowning tightly, Han Yu suddenly remembered that if what happened to Ultron happened, there should be another big event before him, that is, the destruction of S.H.I.E.L.D. Although it is said that Nick Fury, director of S.H.I.E.L.D., appeared during this incident, S.H.I.E.L.D. has been destroyed by the US team at this point in the incident, and the name S.H.I.E.L.D. should not have appeared. Is it because I let Ultron appear too early, but I can't restart the universe? Han Yu's eyes flickered. As a veteran comic fan, he had read a lot of DC Comics next door in his previous life. The Flash, known as the Restart Key, always used his super speed power when something was irreversible. Travel back and change the world. Regarding this point, it is not uncommon to be complained by comic fans. Han Yu frowned tightly. This was something he hadn't expected. What is certain now is that the timeline must have changed. "Boss, what's the matter? Don't detonate this island again, it's time for the reverse propulsion time I set before after leaving the atmosphere." Chapter 33 Flesh and Hurt. Seeing that Han Yu was silent and did not detonate the island, Ao Chuang reminded him aloud. Only then did Han Yu come to his senses. It was useless to think so much now, the most urgent task was to get rid of this floating island first. The two flew away from Sokovia Island, and the energy of the green light in the center of the island exploded, smashing the entire island into pieces, leaving no stone that could cause harm to people, and turning it into dust. The people on the ground looked at the large cloud of dust in the air, and they all opened their mouths wide. It would be understandable if such a large area exploded into countless pieces, but the scene of turning into such a large piece of dust is still very shocking. Human scalp is numb. With another wave of his hand, a huge amount of green light energy spewed out from Han Yu's hands, covering all the dust and turning it into an asteroid. The green light energy continued to shrink, compressing the dust inside. If the dust is not disposed of, it will cause great harm to the people on the ground if it falls to the ground. While compressing, Han Yu waved with the other hand, and two beams of light flew out from the dust. One was the soul gem emitting yellow light, and the other was Han Yu's green lantern ring. Ding! It is detected that there are new items added to the Marvel world, the soul gem, and every time you get 2 infinity gems, you will get a reward. If you collect all 6, you will be rewarded. Can you get rewards every 2 gems? The rewards for infinite gems are definitely not ordinary. Han Yu narrowed his eyes. This is one of the most powerful items in the Marvel world, and the rewards for collecting a complete set cannot be much worse. Suddenly, he felt a scorching gaze coming towards him, and when he turned his head, Ultron was staring at him. Ultron stared at the Green Lantern ring eagerly. The Green Lantern energy that he had just fought with Ultron was originally contained in his body, and it should have been left by Han Yu when he forged his body. Although it can still be used for a while, it will be gone when it is used up. Ultron really thinks the green light ring is useful, but he is Han Yu's younger brother. If the other party wants to take it back, he has nothing to say. Here, this is for you, don't use it indiscriminately. Han Yu saw what Ao Chuang was thinking, flicked his fingers, and the ring flew in front of Ao Chuang. Here. I will definitely make good use of it. Seeing that Han Yu was able to give him such a good thing, Ao Chuang grinned and quickly took it. Thank you, boss. Han Yu smiled, and turned his gaze back to the huge amount of dust in the air. After half a minute, it turned into a soil ball slightly bigger than his palm. Looking at the small soil ball in his hand, Han Yu waited for a while, and instead of throwing it away, he put it into the system space. This is a small ball with the quality of the entire Sokovia Island, including a lot of metal. It looks only slightly larger than a palm, but it weighs tens of thousands of tons. If it is thrown, people who don't know it will think it's just a small soil ball, and they will be crushed to death by the ball when they realize it. Let's go back. After clearing the battlefield, Han Yu and the two turned into 2 beams of light, rushed to the sky, and disappeared here. There is still an empty room on the 2nd floor, turn right to the 1st room, you will live there from now on. Back at the grocery store, Han Yu arranged a room for Ultron and Wanda, and Kuei Yan also came out at this time. Hey, newcomer, my name is Pietro, I'll come before you, you can call me Big Brother. Kuei Yan greeted Ultron with a smile when he saw Ultron coming here. Even if Han Yu brought him in, he would be a friend, and he just opened his mouth to take advantage of others. Ultron glanced at him obliquely, but didn't speak. Hey, I'm grumpy, what do you mean by glancing at me? Seeing that the other party didn't speak, Kuei Yan just glanced at him, and he couldn't hold back his petty temper. I only have one big brother, you, forget it. He only obeyed Han Yu alone, and he would not pay attention to others, no matter who they were. Come on, let's have a fight, and it won't work if we don't cure you. After getting along with the pirates for a while, Kuei Yan's character became careless, clamoring for a fight. Ao Chuang glanced at Han Yu, but Han Yu just shrugged his shoulders. He understood the meaning of the other party, and he could fight, as long as he didn't kill him, it would be fine. Ever since, Ultron, who was a little angry after being abused by Han Yu before, went to fight with Kuei Yan in the utility room upstairs. Han Yu couldn't help but laugh at the character of these two people who started fighting when they disagreed. As long as they didn't fight to the point of life and death, Han Yu wouldn't care how they fought. Wanda gave Han Yu an angry look, and said, "Don't stop me." Han Yu stepped forward with a smile and put his arms around Wanda's slender waist, and said, "It's okay, I think Pietro seems to be a little swayed after having the green light energy for a while, Ultron will pay attention to it, and let him suffer a little bit, can also let his floating temperament down a little bit." The two went upstairs while chatting. As soon as they walked up to the 2nd floor, Kuei Yan came out of the storage room. His cheeks seemed a little red and swollen. When he saw Han Yu coming up, he rushed forward and said, "Han, give me the artifact again, and I will become stronger." Seeing his appearance, Han Yu also guessed the result, Kuei Yan must have lost. Han Yu said, "The green light energy you are holding is the strongest artifact. You are just stepping on the threshold level for this ring. You should drink less with Ace and the others and practice more. It is not appropriate to become stronger something." Hearing this, Kuei Yan scratched his head in embarrassment, ran back to his room without saying a word, not knowing what he was up to. Ao Chuang came out after him, and said to Han Yu, "Boss, how did you do this? There is so much space inside." "You will know later." Han Yu waved his hand with a smile, and asked, "What happened inside just now?" Ao Chuang said with a smile, "As soon as this kid came in, he dealt all kinds of damage to me. I just stood there and didn't move. I felt a little bored, then I stretched out my feet and bumped him, and ran away with a big ass squatting." Han Yu was not surprised by this result. Ao Chuang's body is made of ulu metal, which has a certain resistance to magic energy, and ordinary green light energy can't do much damage to ulu metal's body, unless something else is fused into the green light energy. What's more, Kuei Yin is still a sensitive assassin, and he can't beat Ultron, a super meat tank with meat and output. Thinking of Kuei Yin's fleeing appearance, Han Yu wanted to laugh a little. Even Wanda couldn't help laughing, since they are all his own people anyway. It doesn't matter if he suffers from his own people. It would be a disadvantage for one's own people, but it might be a death for outsiders. "Okay, go back to your room and familiarize yourself with the body I gave you. I'm going back to rest." After Han Yu said this, he also asked Wanda to go back to her room to rest. There are some things that Wanda should not know. Wanda knew that Han Yu always wanted to do something on her own, so she nodded obediently and went back without asking any further questions. As soon as he returned to the room, Han Yu took out his magical conch and murmured, "Compared to the timeline in my memory, has the timeline here changed?" Chapter 34 The right of interpretation belongs to the system. For the question "compared to the timeline in my memory, has the timeline here changed?" the current best explanation, yes. The two simple words in the book made Han Yu speechless for a while. It was too perfunctory, just two yes and it was over. Looking at this magical conch, Han Yu felt that this thing was out to mess with his mentality of, "Forget it, don't care about it." Han Yu took back the magical conch, swiped his right hand in the air, and opened his personal interface. Name, Han Yu. Grocery store level, Junior Clerk. Basic abilities, Immortal Seal, Magical Conch. Additional ability, none. Props, Mood Potion, Storm Cry 2, Item Extraction Card 1. Arsenal, Ice Wheel Pill. Existing upgrade points, 228. Points required for upgrade, 60. Seeing the full upgrade points, Han Yu couldn't help grinning. This is really a wave of getting rich. Han Yu said, "System, use 200 upgrade points to exchange for an item draw card." He is not in a hurry to level up. If all the 200 points are used for leveling up, he will reach the level of a senior clerk. Only promotion can bring him basic abilities. The 200 points might as well be used to extract items. Obtaining new items has greatly increased his strength, and he can deal with it more calmly in subsequent events, especially now that the timeline has changed from what Han Yu remembers. He has to make himself stronger faster. God knows what will happen in the future to something more bizarre. If the Marvel Cinematic Universe merges with the Marvel Comics universe, it will really be heaven. Han Yu shook his head with a smile, but who would have thought that the things he would face in the future would be more absurd than he thought. The exchange is complete, and you will get an item extraction card *2. Seeing the 3 item extraction cards that appeared on the personal panel, Han Yu's eyes were fiery, wondering what good things this could bring him. Immediately, Han Yu reached out and clicked on the personal panel, and 3 item extraction cards appeared in his hand, and Han Yu took out one and patted it forward. Just like before the green light ring was drawn, the card turned into a stream of light and converged forward. After a few breaths, it turned into a small white oval ball. It looked like a container. When I opened it, I found a pair of delicate and small white earphones inside. Get props, headphones with super sound quality, which can be connected to a mobile phone or computer. Seeing this prop, Han Yu's first reaction was not to throw it on the ground, but to read the item description carefully, and it was indeed super quality earphones written on it. Then he didn't give up. After listening to the song for a while, the sound quality was unbelievably good, and after pausing the song, Han Yu said, "Connect to other people's mobile phones, connect to everyone's mobile phone within a 5-mile radius, connect to everyone's computer within a 5-mile radius." No response. After some probing, Han Yu calmly took down the earphone, and then slammed it on the ground. "Headphone, my sister, can you be more serious? I spent 100 upgrade points, you are cheating. System, give me an explanation." As soon as the words fell, the voice of the system sounded in Han Yu's mind. The final interpretation of the items drawn by the host belongs to the system. What a final right of interpretation, which means that Han Yu has to hold whatever the system draws out. Anyway, the right of interpretation is with the system, so I can only suffer. As expected of the grocery store system, I still have 2 tickets, if you are cruel. Han Yu put away the earphones. Even though it is just a pair of earphones, they are still earphones with particularly good sound quality. No matter how expensive the earphones are on the market, they can't compare to them. Han Yu used this to comfort himself. He calmed down, then pulled out another item extraction card, and slapped forward. Obtain props, Wanjitong mobile phone. This mobile phone can be connected to all the mobile games of the host's previous life, but the host cannot disclose any information about the other world. As the host's level in the game improves, the corresponding game information, including skills and game production plans. This is a good thing. Han Yu's eyes lit up. He turned on the phone and saw the familiar Chinese operation pages and software inside. He suddenly felt a little sour. Suddenly traveling to this unfamiliar world, even though there are Wanda, Kuei-Yan and Ultron by his side now, he still feels a little lonely, and getting such a thing now makes him feel like home. Especially the second half of the system introduction, as the host progresses in the game, the corresponding game information can be obtained, including skills and game production plans. This is right for him to change the direction of entertainment on this earth. The entertainment activities on this earth now, in his previous life, would be so boring that it couldn't be any more boring. Without a data cable, does this phone have unlimited power? Han Yu looked at the phone, not to mention the data cable, this phone doesn't even have a socket, so there is nothing to charge it. Carefully put it on the table, Han Yu was afraid that other things would touch it, so he simply emptied the table, and only put the mobile phone on it. This mobile phone is a master to Han Yu, and he usually relies on it when he is bored. For the last item extraction card, Han Yu went to the bathroom to wash his hands, then waved to Dongfang, humming good luck while starting the item extraction. The light transformed by the item extraction card is usually purple gold, but this time the light transformed by the item extraction card is actually a strand of black light, which is extremely strange. The dense black light slowly condensed in front of Han Yu. Judging by its size, it should no longer be a headset or a mobile phone. Han Yu vaguely saw that the 2 ends of this thing were large and flat, and a vertical thing extended in the middle. Down. After concentrating for a moment, the thing began to fall, and Han Yu quickly reached out to catch it. As soon as he got it, Han Yu's face changed obviously. This thing is surprisingly heavy. Good guy, it's so heavy, it's definitely not an ordinary thing. Feeling the heavy object in his hand, Han Yu was overjoyed and used his strength in time, otherwise the object would fall to the ground. The black brilliance dissipated. It was a small double-headed hammer. The whole body of the hammer was jet black. The handle of the hammer was 3 to 4 centimeters long. This hammer seemed to carry a vague and murderous aura. When this hammer appeared in the room, the atmosphere in the whole room became a little depressed. Seeing the objects in front of him, Han Yu's eyes gradually widened, and even his breathing became a little short. This is the clear sky hammer. Could it be because he just bowed in the direction of the east, and what he got now is actually from the clear sky hammer, which is known as the strongest weapon in the Wuhan continent? Chapter 35, The Clear Sky Hammer. This clear sky hammer is not just a simple weapon, in the Wuhan continent, it is also a top-level weapon Wuhan. The so-called Wuhan is something that everyone in the Wuhan continent can awaken when they are 6 years old. There are many types of Wuhan, including animals, plants, objects, and even themselves. Wuhan can make people's lives easier. Those who have awakened their martial soul can use their martial soul in battle to become a soul master admired by thousands of people. The small hammer in Han Yu's hand is the Wuhan of Wuhan, and it is also the most powerful existence of Wuhan, with an attack power of max level. Of the 2 soul masters of the same level, the one holding the clear sky hammer can crush perfectly, and even outnumber each other. A soul master with the clear sky hammer is almost the existence of Xiaoao Jianghu at the same level. As long as he doesn't make waves, it is impossible to lose the battle. Han Yu murmured, "Good guy, I have a chance to go to the Wuhan continent some other day, and add a few spirit rings to my clear sky hammer, so that it can exert its full power." The so-called soul ring is something that is dropped by a strange monster called a soul beast in the Wuhan continent. As the age of the soul beast grows, the soul rings it drops are also divided into 10-year soul rings and century-old soul rings. A 1000-year soul ring, a 10,000-year soul ring, and a 100,000-year soul ring. For the small Haoshan hammer in his hand, Han Yu really couldn't put it down more and more. Although there was a little episode at the beginning and he got a pair of earphones, the result was still good. Not only did he get the Wanjitong mobile phone, but he also got Haoshan hammer. If all three of them got something like earphones, Han Yu would have the heart to bump his head to death. After playing with the clear sky hammer for a while, Han Yu shrunk it down a bit and placed it on the bedside table as an exquisite decoration. No one would have thought that such a gadget placed by the bedside would be a powerful weapon with terrifying combat power. Weapons. Lying on the bed, Han Yu picked up his phone and swiped. A parade against the Avengers? It's getting bigger and bigger. Looking at the news on the mobile phone, the Sokovia incident has become known to all countries in the world. Although they did not know that Ultron was developed by Stark, but seeing their combat methods, the land of Sokovia disappeared. Nearly 3 out of 5, what a horrible thing. The property damage caused by this is also an astronomical figure. Against the Avengers. They only care about themselves. Where are they now? I guess I've gone home and slept well. Humph, which time it wasn't, they just cared about playing for themselves, and left after the fight. What a great hero! Looking at all kinds of malicious comments on the internet, Han Yu couldn't help but frown slightly. These comments were all ridicule. Occasionally, a few spoke for them. In just a few minutes, hundreds of people sprayed him, and some were even criticized. The person who sprayed it directly logged out of the account, for fear that the flames would be brought to him. It seems that this matter is really difficult to deal with. I hope they can solve it. These things are not something Han Yu needs to worry about. His help in destroying the fallen island and defeating Ultron is already the best help he can do, and they have to solve other things by themselves. On the SHIELD aircraft carrier, the members of the Avengers gathered in the meeting room, and the atmosphere was a bit depressing. Looking at the messages on the internet, the malicious comments in them have caused many people to refresh their upper limit of words in terms of swearing. Banner couldn't help turning his head away. The topics that the netizens sprayed gradually shifted from Sokovia to their personal problems, and they magnified those problems. The most serious one was Hulk. Don't worry too much about it. Stark patted Banner's shoulder and comforted him. Banner smiled wryly and said nothing. Director of SHIELD Nick Fury said, in this Sokovia incident, for such a large population base, the casualties were relatively small, only a few dozen people. I have asked Hill to deal with the aftermath, but this loss of money. Speaking, Fury looked at Stark, who immediately understood, raised his hand and said, I will bear it, and the cost of the subsequent rescue mission will be all on my side. After all, he accounted for the majority of the cause of this matter, and he was the most responsible. About this Han Yu, Stark, do you have any news? Fury called up the video of Sokovia that day on the multimedia screen. On the screen, Han Yu and Ultron made a move. First, Ultron alone challenged the generation of Ultron, and then Han Yu floated the entire Sokovia into the air. Via Island was blown into dust and gathered away. Lei Shen looked at the picture on the video and murmured, this combat power is terrifying. Soul, can you do such a thing? Captain America pointed to the video, which was showing Han Yu causing the entire floating island of Sokovia to burst. Thunder God shook his head and said, no, I can't control the lightning that damages such a large area at all, let alone blast this island to pieces. In the Avengers Alliance, Thor is considered to be the most powerful existence. Even he said this willingly, and he must have been convinced by Han Yu's strength. Stark, you've been to his store, what kind of person is he? Nick Fury asked again, now that such a powerful and breathtaking existence suddenly appeared on the earth, it is natural to know more about him, the better. Stark said, he looks like a very ordinary Chinese boy. He is very young, about his early 20s, maybe a little younger. If he didn't take the initiative to talk to me, I don't even know where he is. The store manager, his grocery store, seems to sell a lot of weird things, especially the green light ring, the energy contained in it is far more than my arc reactor. Everyone was stunned. Stark's arc reactor was also unique in their world. I don't know how many countries want to obtain such technology. Stark's arc reactor technology is at least 50 years ahead of others. And with such technology, Stark can't even say what Han Yu gave? How powerful that must be! Banner nodded in agreement. He had also been in contact with the green light ring, and he knew the power of that ring. Nick Fury said, in this way, we send someone to find out the truth. If he is a friendly army, it is fine. If he is an enemy, then we must take some coercive measures. With such a powerful person, it is really impossible to let him stroll on the street indistinctly. I'll go, I think I will have an advantage if I go. Natasha, the Black Widow, took the initiative to take over the task. She is still very confident in her charm. Okay, Natasha, it's up to you. If you can, today is a great opportunity, don't let it go. As a super spy, Natasha has done a lot of things like this, and it's definitely right to leave it to her to inquire about intelligence. Chapter 36 Attacked. That afternoon, after dressing up, Natasha came to the grocery store, took out her phone and confirmed that it was the address Stark had given her. This operation may not be so easy. The opponent is strong and will definitely hold a high airs. I will go in and check first. Don't act rashly outside. Natasha pressed the radio in her ear and said. Receive. Natasha took a few deep breaths, then opened the door and walked in. She has been in the industry for so many years, has come into contact with various celebrities and predators, and has seen countless men. She has ways to deal with boys of all ages. Pushing open the door, I saw a few people sitting in the store. Natasha was about to say her usual opening remarks when she heard a heated discussion from those people. Boss, get the red first. This wave of them will die if they don't have the status to get the red and then fight. Hey, bloody blood, you can kill, you can kill. Wow, run away, you can run away, right? Boss, you use the second skill, if you hit him with one stick, he will be gone. Han Yu's expression gradually became helpless. He used the Wanjitong mobile phone he just got to play MOBA games here. He was spotted by Ultron and Kuei Yin who were passing by after just 2 rounds. At first they just glanced at it, but the more they watched over the top. He hurried over to ask him what kind of game this is, but he has never seen this kind of game style and this kind of picture quality in the market. Compared with this, the games on Earth now seem to be made with landlines. As a time traveler, the things from his previous life can be recognized by people in this world. Even if it wasn't made by Han Yu, he still felt very happy, and continued to play without saying anything. As a result, the two of Ultron looked more and more at the top, and directly began to point out Zhang Shan up. You two strong-mouthed kings, can you be quiet for a while, I play games or you play games? Han Yu turned his head and rolled their eyes. He was also a master in his previous life. He never felt how strong his level was, but being forced to rely on 2 people who had never played games like this, still very upset. Ultron said, if you want to be quiet, he is quiet, and if you cook well, you will charge forward. Kuei Yin said, hey, I have a bad temper, who are you talking about? Ultron snorted coldly and said, that must be about you. Go, let's practice, I won't let you trip this time. Ao Chuang gave Kuei Yin a blank look, and didn't want to pay attention to him at all. He lowered his head and continued to watch Han Yu play the game. That. I'll find Han Yu, Mr. Han. Natasha said weakly, she has been standing there for 10 minutes like a big living person, and she watched Ultron and Kuei Yin talking all the time. The strength shown by the two of them in Sokovia that day can also be cultivated in the Avengers, but now it seems that the two of them are like teenagers who have not learned well. Bye. Ah, here we come. Han Yu struggled to stand up, but Ao Chuang and Kuei Yin firmly held him down and prevented him from getting up. The meaning was obvious, they just wanted to continue watching him play. Okay, here you are, don't break it for me, or I'll make you into a mobile phone. Hey, boss, don't worry, it won't break. Han Yu threw the mobile phone to Kuei Yin, and they let Han Yu get up, and immediately entered the battle again. Shaking his head helplessly, Han Yu walked up to Natasha and asked, it's you, what's the matter? That day in Sokovia, Natasha failed to see Han Yu's face clearly, and now standing face to face, she realized that Han Yu's appearance was surprisingly good. This is a standard oriental face, the facial features are very neat, it won't look handsome, but in the crowd, he will be the most outstanding one, this body and temperament, relying on this alone, he can stand out from the outside world, it can't be ordinary people. Hi, my name is Natasha Romanoff, nice to meet you. Natasha stretched out her hand generously to Han Yu, and her inadvertent flick of hair could easily make a man's heart flutter. Han Yu didn't change anything, he naturally took Natasha's hand, shook it lightly and then let go, smiling at the same time. You're too happy. Puff. Ultron and Kuei-Ian, who were playing the game in the back, burst out laughing, and the other party greeted him. And he was really unique in this way of answering. Natasha was a little embarrassed, pointed inside, and said, "Can I go in and sit down?" Han Yu looked inside the grocery store, then looked at Natasha dressed up, and said, "I don't plan to have anything to do with SHIELD, nor will I join. If you don't have anything to buy, please leave." Regarding the fact that Natasha has been exuding charm, Han Yu's expression has not changed much. In terms of figure, Wanda is not inferior to her. In terms of ability, Tsunade of the 5th Hokage is much better than her, and the figure is also so good that it makes nosebleeds. Han Yu didn't say that he could be called number of girls, but he had seen many of them. Compared with them, Natasha's appearance was not so advanced. The other party's decisiveness was beyond Natasha's expectation, and a lot of close rhetoric she had prepared seemed to be useless. Natasha said unwillingly, "I want to buy something, and I am very sincere. Is this how you treat your customers?" Han Yu glanced at Natasha. The latter felt that he was seen through at that moment. After a while, he looked out of the window and said with a smile, "Sincere? Just because the hidden agents outside are all here. Did you carry the money for you?" "What agent? I don't know what you're talking about." Natasha lowered her head slightly to prevent Han Yu from seeing her guilty expression. She was surprised that the other party knew that she was not here alone, and there was no camera outside the shop. Could it be that she was cheating? 20 soldiers with fully automatic rifles have surrounded my shop, guarding every window that can come in. There is a sniper in the front building on the right from my shop, and the other there is also a sniper on one side. Why, do you want me to bring them out before admitting it? Han Yu smiled and said, "If all his powerful mental power is released, it will be enough to cover the entire New York City, so clear that he can even count the number of other people's hairs, let alone those who think they are well concealed, but in fact they have long been covered." It was the same as standing in front of Han Yu. Han Yu already knew when Natasha and her group arrived, but he just didn't bother to take care of it, and now he doesn't bother to take care of any changes in the opponent's position. Anyway, no matter how the opponent fights, he can't die. Let them play. Of course, if they dared to drop a nuclear bomb, they might be able to scratch Han Yu a bit. It's just that they can't drop a nuclear bomb. After all, this is the center of New York. If they drop a nuclear bomb here, they really don't want to mess around. "Captain, there is a situation, someone wants to break through the door of the store." The sound of panic rang in Natasha's headset, followed by the sound of something piercing into the body, and then there was no sound. Suddenly, a cylindrical object broke through the window and was thrown in. Natasha recognized what it was at a glance and exclaimed, "It's a shock bomb!" Chapter 37 The Fusion of Multiple Universes. The shock bomb exploded in an instant, and the piercing sound and dazzling white light caused Natasha to lose her vision and hearing. She was the closest person. A few seconds after the shock bomb exploded, the door of the grocery store was also knocked open, and several figures rushed in an orderly manner, but the scene inside the store stunned them. Natasha was the only person injured by the shock bomb. After these people rushed in, they saw Han Yu, Kuei-Ian and Ao Chuang staring at themselves, and the scene was a little awkward for a while. There were 3 people rushing in, and they all had a common feature, wearing a hood and carrying a long sword of the same style on their backs, like a ninja. This feature made Han Yu think of an organization, the Assassin's League. Not even people and things from other universes will be integrated into this universe. Han Yu whispered in his heart, the League of Assassins is not a product of the Marvel world, it exists in the DC universe, that is, the universe with Batman and Superman. This is a killer organization no less than the Marvel Hydra. Its power spreads all over the world. Its members are characterized by hoods and the use of bows and arrows or long swords. Now the opponent's appearance is very similar to what Han Yu remembered. Like Han Yu was looking at them, and they were also looking at Han Yu. The 3 assassins looked at each other, and one of them said, "This is the guy, kill him and find the Mind Stone." Several assassins drew their swords at the same time, and ran straight to Han Yu. In this small space, the 3 of them moved together without appearing crowded, and the tacit understanding of the front and back was full. Han Yu took a step forward and walked to Natasha's side, pulled her back and threw her on the sofa, at the same time raised his right arm to block in front of him, and 3 swords that were shining with cold light slashed at his arm. "Humph, you dare to knock on the door directly, you're courting death." Han Yu originally didn't want to attack ordinary people casually. Strictly speaking, Han Yu is no longer a human being. If he is a little bit dragged, there is nothing wrong with calling himself a god. His physical ability is also completely beyond that of ordinary humans, so his strength is not ordinary. People can bear. A slap without fancy slap hit the leftmost assassin's chest, causing the latter's throat to constrict for a moment. Although he was wearing a black mask, a little red liquid could still be seen seeping out of the mask. This slap directly killed the assassin. When the other two assassins saw their companions being killed, a look of surprise flashed across their eyes, and they quickly pushed away a short distance, looking at Han Yu vigilantly. "Hey, your boss was attacked, why aren't you too nervous at all?" Natasha hid behind the sofa, used the sofa as a cover, looked at the tense atmosphere in front of her, and then turned her head to look at her side. Ultron and Kuei Yin were also hiding here. They were still playing games at this time, as if they were attacked. It's not the same as they are here. "Ham, what does it matter, our boss is so strong, it is not easy to deal with them, everything can be delayed, but playing games is not good, I will win soon." Kuei Yin quickly rubbed his hands on the screen of his mobile phone. All kinds of skills in the game are wild, look at his record, well, a wave of talk is as fierce as a tiger, look at the record 0/5. Is this really his clerk? Doesn't he take the boss's life seriously? Natasha was a little speechless. It was the first time she saw such a clerk, so she ignored them and looked up again. The two assassins saw that each other killed their companion with a single slap, and after looking at each other, the man on the right had a look of cruelty in his eyes, and saw him raise his hand, and lavender energy gushed out from his arm, solidifying into a long sword with a purple handle. Both Natasha and Han Yu were a little stunned. In this world, people with superpowers are rare. Natasha was still surprised that the assassin in front of him could actually transform energy into a long sword. And Han Yu's astonishment was because he thought of a possibility, which might not be a superpower, but a mutant gene. Mutants? No, there haven't been mutants in the main world of Marvel. Is it because of the change in the timeline? A cold light flashed in Han Yu's eyes. He wanted to solve this matter faster and see whether the other party used high technology to do it or whether it was his own ability. The two assassins didn't say a word, and after the assassin who was suspected of being a mutant condensed a purple sword blade, they ran towards Han Yu. The ordinary assassin in front waved left and right, and at some point, two small black balls were caught between his fingers, hitting Han Yu's body and creating a thick puff of smoke. In the thick fog, the other party's vision did not seem to be affected. The moment the thick fog stirred up, the purple sword's edge came to Han Yu's eyes, and chopped straight at his head. Before the blade fell on Han Yu's head, two fingers wrapped in green light energy clamped the purple blade. Although Han Yu's body is hard, he can't hold the weapon made of energy with his physical body. Only the means of covering energy can do it. Very good speed. If it is an ordinary person, it will really kill you. It's a pity that you chose the wrong partner. Han Yu smiled slightly, and with a twist of two fingers, he broke his sword edge, and then kicked him in the abdomen. The huge impact made him hit the door panel directly, and he lost consciousness. Although he is a mutant, his physique can be regarded as an ordinary person who has been trained for a long time, and his ability to resist attacks is not that strong. The other assassin saw that his teammate was defeated so easily, he knew that he had no chance, so he turned his head and ran away. "I'll make people chase me." This was a chance to express herself. Natasha immediately asked the SHIELD soldiers outside to arrest the assassin through the headset, while she turned her attention to the assassin indoors. Han Yu walked up to the assassin in 3 or 2 steps, squatted down and rummaged on him for a while, but there was no high-tech equipment that could condense energy release, so there was only one possibility: he was really a mutant. "This time it's wonderful," Han Yu murmured. Since there is the League of Assassins and the first mutant Han Yu saw, then his deduction is correct. This world is subtly merging with other worlds. Although not necessarily all of them, there will also be some forces from other universes generated in this universe. A force like the League of Assassins is okay, if it is stronger, and a Kryptonian appears in this universe, then Superman is likely to come to Earth as well. Han Yu has no interest in Superman, after all, they belong to the Elders. If he is interested, it would be a bit perverted. On the contrary, it is Superman's cousin. Han Yu is a little interested. That Kara-El known as Supergirl. Chapter 38 Mutant Asylum. Take this guy back, have a good trial, and let me know if you have any other news. Han Yu pointed to the mutant assassin who had passed out, and said to Natasha behind, "Just leave the interrogation to SHIELD." Natasha didn't talk nonsense, and let the SHIELD soldiers outside come in through the radio to drag the mutant assassin away. Natasha said, "Mr. Han, I will come again. I hope we can reach a happy cooperation next time." Han Yu smiled and waved his hands, "Walk slowly." After finishing speaking, Han Yu turned his head and walked back, snatching back his mobile phone under Kuei Yan's wailing. Looking at the record, well, 0/9, so he just said a lot of bragging. At first, Han Yu thought he would have some talent for playing games, but it seems that he only has talent for talking. Seeing that Han Yu didn't want to talk to her anymore, Natasha whispered a few words into the earphone, took a deep look at Han Yu, and left. Noticing the retreat of the soldiers around him, Han Yu breathed a sigh of relief, and he didn't want to fight against SHIELD, after all, the latter is still righteous now. Since the timeline has changed, I don't know if SHIELD has been invaded by Hydra. If so, take timely action to help him solve this trouble. If mutants really start to appear in this world in large numbers, then those two guys should show up too. While rubbing the screen of his phone, Han Yu thought, in his memory, at least half of the people in the SHIELD penetrated into them. Two figures emerged in his mind. One was a bald man sitting in a wheelchair, his every move was extremely gentle, his mutant ability was telepathy, and he was considered the most powerful among this kind of telepathic mutants one of. And the other one floats in the air like a god, and can make the earth float in the air with a wave of his hand, and can control all metals. These two people are Professor X Charles and Magneto King Eric. Among all the mutants, they are the most famous. In Han Yu's memory, the two first founded the X Academy, and finally because of disagreement, Magneto split. Go out and set up the Brotherhood of Mutants, saying that they want to liberate the mutants and prevent them from being restrained and hunted down by humans. Han Yu was playing the game in a trance. Ultron and Kuei Yan were still pressing beside him, but he was thinking about something and didn't hear it at all, and suddenly he stood up. Both Yuo Juang were taken aback. Could it be that they thought they were too annoying and wanted to hit someone? Start working. With that said, Han Yu dragged Ultron directly to the workshop. Kuei Yan left behind with a blank face. "Hey, wait for me." In the workshop, Ultron and Kuei Yan looked blankly at Han Yu in front of him. At this time, the latter was crossing his hands, and the green light energy like silk threads gushed out from his palms and intertwined with each other. "What is the boss doing?" Kuei Yan quietly asked Ultron. He is also calling Han Yu the boss now. After all, the boss is too formal, and he doesn't want to call it like this. It's good to call the boss, it makes him feel that the relationship between the two is closer, although Han Yu didn't think so. He seemed like he was trying to build something, but he kept scribbling. Ao Chuang didn't know what Han Yu was building, but he could tell that Han Yu was trying to make something. Seeing the latter's serious appearance, he didn't ask aloud, and Kuei Yan also watched quietly. Don't look at the two of them always talking around Han Yu, but when it's time to be serious, the two of them can still be very serious. 5 minutes passed, and a burst of joy suddenly appeared on Han Yu's face, and he said, "It's done." Between Han Yu's palms, there was a wisp of lavender blade fragments floating, which looked familiar. Is this the energy sword of the previous assassin? Ultron's brain is a supercomputer, and he immediately saw the source of the thing in Han Yu's hand. "That's right," Han Yu nodded, and continued, "I tried to restore this energy molecule as much as possible, and there is also a little skin tissue that I got off when I first came into contact with him. Please help me analyze his DNA and find out his difference. Humans, and then help me make a program that can track down humans with this gene." Hearing Han Yu say such a long list, Ao Chuang said in astonishment, "Boss, are you interested in the superpowers of people like them? Don't you plan to recruit all such people to the grocery store? Do it, and it will definitely be listed as a terrorist organization by S.H.I.E.L.D. Ultron is not afraid of SHIELD, even with the firepower of SHIELD, he can't kill him, but he thinks it's troublesome. One more thing is worse than one less thing. If there is no war, Ultron doesn't want to fight." He gradually discovered that this body has the ability to assimilate into a human being. After assimilating into a human being, he is still a robot inside, but from the outside, he looks like a normal person. Ultron is ready to go out and experience the extravagant life of human beings. War, I really don't want to participate. Kuei Yan also looked at Han Yu with this kind of doubt. No one likes war, because his parents died because of the war. Fighting is okay, but when it comes to war, it is different. Things that can be resolved. Seeing that the two were staring at him so seriously, as if they were going to say a lot of dissuading words if he said yes, Han Yu shook his head and said with a smile. You may not believe it. I'm not interested in their abilities at all. I know a little about them. This kind of people are called mutants, and they are also human beings, but they are genetically mutated humans. Even if they have superpowers, they still belong to the in the human category. Superpowers are powerful, but their bodies are still similar to ordinary people. They can be stabbed by a knife, and they can be killed by a pistol. The mutant assassin tonight has given me a warning. If such mutants are allowed to come out again, the world will start a terrible war. Han Yu paused for a while, and seeing Yuo Juang and the two of them listening to him very seriously, he continued. After all, human beings are very xenophobic creatures. When only one or two mutants appear in front of the world and they are doing good deeds, they may be ordinary people's heroes, but once they do a bad thing, this bad thing it will overwhelm most people's goodwill towards them, especially when such people increase and become an ethnic group, then ordinary people will resist their existence even more. Han Yu sighed softly. The existence of mutants is indeed a tragedy. They can only be forced to accept their fate as mutants and to accept the strange eyes of others. It is a good thing to have superpowers, but most Chinese it's just an illusion in the mind of the second youth. That's why I have to gather them together to manage the mutants before they cause chaos, and teach them how to control their abilities and how to recognize themselves, so that they won't be confused. Chapter 39. After finishing speaking, Han Yu looked at Ultron and Kuei Yin quietly, and said, How about it, are you going to join me and help mutants together? Although the two of Ao Juang are his own shop assistants, if the other party really dislikes this aspect of things, Han Yu will not force them, lest something goes wrong. I will join, I will definitely join, there is no reason not to join. Kuei Yin thought faster than Ultron, and it didn't take long for him to agree. Having lost his parents since he was a child, he has a deep feeling for the kind of bullying and strange eyes. If he can help them, he must be obliged. Han Yu was also a little surprised. During this period of time, Kuei Yin has always shown the character of a troublesome big guy, thinking about eating, drinking, and having fun every day. He thought he would not agree, but he was the first one to agree. Ultron said, I'll join too. Although I don't like human beings, and I don't want to care about their lives, but boss, are you going to make a game for mobile phones in the future? Han Yu was taken aback, and said, Yes, what's the matter? That's fine. The game is so fun, but there must be players. If the mutants and ordinary people make a fuss, my teammates will be disconnected during the game. I don't want to do that. Ultron's reason is actually entirely because of the game. Han Yu smiled, and didn't care about the other party's reasons. After all, he thought about destroying all human beings. If it was because of human beings, he would not care at all. It's just because there is a game, and because Han Yu said this, he will consider it and agree. If there is no game and it is someone else, such as the Avengers, he is in charge, and it is not bad if he does not punch you home. Seeing that both of them agreed, Han Yu was about to say something to Kuei Yin, because the latter was not familiar with this kind of thing at this time, but the latter spoke a step ahead of him. Ao Juang, you can find out all the corresponding books you need to use. I will make up for it. With my super fast speed, I can catch up with your progress in at most 3 days. Seeing the other party's serious expression, Ultron didn't poke his tires at this time, and exchanged spats with him, and replied, Okay, it's sent to your computer. Ultron is a supercomputer. It is easy for him to search for information, collect and send it. Kuei Yin nodded, motioned to Han Yu, and then left to return to his room. He probably won't see him go out for a few days. And Ao Juang also began to invest in program creation, but now Han Yu stood alone and was bored. He is the commander, so he only needs to worry about how to do things, actually do it, and tell his subordinates to do it. If this also makes him do it himself, then what kind of clerk will he recruit? It's a bit boring, I'll see if I can find something to do. In a large villa in the suburbs of New York, a burly man was sitting in the study room, quietly flipping through the books in his hands. At this moment, a man in a black suit walked quickly from outside. At the door, his footsteps suddenly slowed down and he knocked on the door. Come in. The words of the burly man came out, and the man in the suit walked in. How things are going, tell me. The burly man didn't lift his head, he was still quietly looking at the book in his hand. Report to Mr. Jinbing, the Assassin League, failed. As soon as the man in the suit finished speaking, the atmosphere in the study seemed to drop instantly. What, failed? This burly man is obviously the underworld predator who told Han Yu where Wanda and Kuei Yin were, Jinbing. Yes, 2 assassins died, one of them was the one who could turn energy into a sword, and the other one escaped. Cold sweat broke out on the forehead of the man in the suit, and his speech became much lighter, for fear that the other party would kill him if he got angry. Okay, you go down first. Jinbin waved his hand, and what he said surprised the man in the suit. After thanking him in a low voice, he hurriedly backed out of the room. But the moment he turned around, a red laser shot from behind him, directly piercing through the man in the suit's heart. Looking at the big hole in his chest, the man in the suit stared wide-eyed and died. Jinbing took back his cane that could emit laser light, put it beside the chair, stood up and walked to the window. It happened to be raining now, and the subtle sound of raindrops hitting the window made the atmosphere in the room even more depressing. Assassin's League of Trash, I spent $5 million to hire a superhuman killer. I didn't expect it to be so useless. Jin said angrily. No one has mentioned the concept of mutants yet, so King called them superpowers. The reason why he wanted to kill Han Yu, on the one hand, was because the latter's attitude made him feel uncomfortable the day he gave Han Yu the information, and on the other hand, he wanted to test Han Yu's strength and see if Han Yu was real. Very strong. He didn't know that Han Yu solved the Sokovia Island, because after Han Yu appeared in Sokovia, the people had already evacuated, and the only people who saw Han Yu detonating Sokovia were the Avengers and a few members of SHIELD. Naturally, it is impossible for SHIELD to release Han Yu's information to the outside world, and everyone thinks that the Avengers have solved it. Did it cost $5 million? If you want to take my life, this amount of money seems to be a little less. In the huge study room, a sudden chuckle made Jinbing's body tense instantly, making his hair stand on end, and roared in his heart, it can't be him, how did he come in, I didn't notice at all. Jinbin turned around slowly, and saw a young man appearing in the shadow of a certain corner of the study like a ghost, leaning against the bookshelf with his legs crossed, flipping through the books he had taken off the shelf at random. Brother Han? It's you, why didn't you say anything when you came here? The young man who appeared suddenly was none other than Han Yu. Seeing Jinbin turn around, Han Yu closed the book, threw it back into the bookshelf casually, crossed his fingers on his knees, and looked at Jinbin with a smile on his face. What do you think? Ah, haha, I don't know. Could it be that Brother Han came to see me for dinner? Then I will immediately order my servants to cook. Jinbin moved to the desk and said with a smile, he didn't feel at ease until he got his cane after walking to the desk. It was also because he got closer that Jinbing saw Han Yu's clothes. It was raining outside. But his clothes were still extremely dry. Apart from this house, there was no place to hide from the rain. Then how did Han Yu manage to come here in this rainy day without getting wet? Chapter 40, Wanda with Teacher and Number 039, S Dream. Han Yu stood up, looked at the study, and walked slowly towards Jinbin. When passing by the man in suit who was beaten to death by Jinbing, he didn't even look at him, he directly stepped over his body, getting closer and closer to Jinbing. Jinbing stared closely at the boy in front of him. He has been in the underworld for so many years, and he has never met an opponent who can put such pressure on him like Han Yu. What does this guy mean? Seeing that he is so idle, has he already prepared a way to deal with me? What is it, a sniper, or a bomb? What kind of superpower is he? The guy is also a speed type. Jinbing, who was constantly changing his thoughts, was all thinking about analyzing Han Yu's next actions. Looking back at Han Yu, he actually didn't think so in his heart. Tisk tisk tisk, as expected of a big dog, this study alone has 2 floors, which is almost enough for my grocery store, and I have to buy a house like this someday. Han Yu murmured in his heart that he was about to ask Jinbin how much such a house cost, but when his lips trembled and he didn't even utter a syllable, Jinbin in front of him shouted standing up, he raised his cane and pressed down on Han Yu. Countless red laser beams shot at Han Yu from the tail of the cane. The man in the suit on the ground had learned from the past. Being hit by the laser beams, the lightest thing would be to wear a big hole. Although Han Yu didn't feel that the other party's attack could hurt him, the sudden attack by the other party still made Han Yu a little unhappy. He didn't blame Jin and sent a killer to kill him, but wanted to thank him. If he didn't do this, when Han Yu discovered the mutant, he might have known it through the headlines. At that time, the task of gathering mutants will be even more difficult. So he came here this time to avenge his grievances with virtue. I don't know what kind of trouble Jinbing has had, and he actually attacked himself again. Did he have such a big hatred with him? Looking at the bursting red laser light, Han Yu sighed lightly, shook his head, and disappeared in the blink of an eye, making the red laser light hit nothing. Where are people? Jinbin became nervous, holding the cane in his hand tightly, searching for Han Yu in the study. Suddenly, a white palm kept magnifying in his eyes, pulling the gold weighing more than 400 Jin forcefully, causing the whole person to turn backwards. He fell to the ground and couldn't get up for a while. Neuropathy. Han Yu took out a towel and wiped his hands. He had a habit of shooting at every turn. Fortunately, he didn't have a perverted personality. He had the perverted habit of killing others when they were hot. After going up and kicking Jinbin again, he left. The study fell into silence again. The moment Han Yu left, Jinbin's subordinates ran in from outside. Seeing Jinbin lying on the ground with swollen face, they all stepped forward to help him up in shock. Trash, why didn't you come in just now? Jin broke away from their support and yelled loudly. Mr. Jinbing, we also want to come in, but for some reason, our bodies are suddenly frozen in place, as if 4 invisible hands are firmly grasping our hands and feet. And we cannot move at all. This kid, who is so sacred? Looking at the rain scene outside the window, Jinbin was gradually lost in thought, and the swollen place on his face was still hurting. Han Yu had just returned to the grocery store and was about to go back to his room to take a rest when he saw Wanda knocking on Kuei Yan's door. Pietro, what are you doing? Dinner is ready. Don't eat, I'm busy, just leave it there for me. Kuei Yan's voice came from the room, and Wanda felt a little baffled. She shrugged and turned her head away. Just in time, she met Han Yu who was upstairs, and asked him, do you know what he is doing? Come out to eat. Wanda was not present when we talked about mutants last time, and there was no need to hide this matter from her, so Han Yu repeated to Wanda what he had said to Ultron and Kuei Yan at the beginning. As soon as he said it, it aroused the interest of this little girl. You, when the School of Mutants is established, can I become a teacher? Be a teacher? Han Yu didn't think about this point, he just wanted to build a peach blossom spring where mutants could live well without being discriminated against, and he himself didn't think about teaching. But if Wanda wants to go, Han Yu thinks it's okay. Although it is said that Wanda and the others are the clerks of the grocery store, in fact, Han Yu will not care about what they usually do as long as they don't hurt the innocent. The grocery store usually doesn't have any business, and Han Yu can handle it by himself. The reason for recruiting them is to complete the tasks of the grocery store. Han Yu smiled and said, okay, I think Pietro also has the same idea. When the time comes, you brothers and sisters can go together and guide those mutant children well. Yet. Wanda jumped up happily, hugged Han Yu and gave him a deep kiss on the face, then said something to herself. Then I have to prepare quickly. What should I teach? I haven't been to school myself. I can't teach culture classes. How about teaching them how to control their abilities? Yes, that's right, it's good, I'm now just practice, you have to be a competent teacher. You can eat dinner by yourself, I went to the utility room to practice my ability. Before Han Yu could answer, Wanda hurriedly ran to the utility room, leaving Han Yu dumbfounded. This girl, does she have a dream of being a teacher? She is so interested. Han Yu smiled and shook his head, then walked towards the restaurant. Ever since he knew he could open up space in the grocery store, Han Yu expanded the space of the restaurant a little. Even if this size accommodates 40 or 50 people, it will not appear crowded, and it is used to entertain guests from all heavens and myriad realms. Fortunately, tonight's dinner is not rich, otherwise it would be a bit desolate for Han Yu to face a large table of food in such a large restaurant by himself. After eating, Han Yu made some more dishes, put them in the incubator, and kept them for Kuei Yan or Wanda, then went back to his own room, lay on the bed and opened the game to play up. What kind of game should I make? Han Yu thought about this question while playing the game. In this world where ghosts are constantly haunting, people have suffered a lot from the battle between superheroes and supervillains, but they have nowhere to vent their anger. People who are kind-hearted can only bear it in their hearts, and occasionally complain to the people around them. If they meet people who are not kind and dissatisfied with their actions, then they will directly express it with actions. Parade, smashing and smashing are all basic operations. It is necessary to make a game that is similar to the real world and can be lawless in it. This will not only allow players to release their grievances in it, but also the game method is unique in this world, and many people will definitely come to play. Freedom, the real world, lawlessness. A gleam of joy suddenly flashed in Han Yu's eyes as he thought about it. He slapped his thigh and said, "Yes, GDA." End of the chapter. Like and subscribe for more videos like this.